please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Sorry about that. Hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's stream, or I guess technically this morning's stream. From the darkness of my balcony, I was outside trying to catch any of the Perseid meteor shower. I do think I saw one about 1:55 in the morning. I think I was lucky enough that I was able to actually see the meteor shower, which was really, really cool. Or at least one meteor, despite a really overcast day. So that was really fun. And as I've said a million times, we as Freemasons should care about our communities. We should care also about science, technology, space exploration. And in some ways, yesterday, or this morning, technically 1 a.m., was kind of a way to try to care about both. It was looking up at the night sky in my community, trying to see if I could see into the meteor shower and celebrating space itself. Plus, you guys got to see some cool views of Detroit. Usually you just see those views during the fireworks. So I hope you enjoyed seeing it once again, seeing another view of Detroit and the GM Center and my neighbors in the States. All right, let's give it some time. Let's wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Cheeseburger, how's it going? As always, don't be best friends with me. Be best friends with somebody you see in person. But thank you for being here nonetheless. As always, I hope you're doing well. How is your day going? Third degree? I am a third degree. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite, but I think you're asking, are you saying, Mr. Peaceful, you're a third degree? Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. As you should know, being the third degree means you are the highest degree in Freemasonry. A lot of people think, for some reason, we talked about this before, that the highest degree in Freemasonry is 33rd. It's not. It's third degree. You ain't any degree? Well, in that case, thank you still for being here nonetheless. I hope you're doing well. Grateful to have you here. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I would be truly, truly obliged. Thank you for the star. If anybody was able and lucky enough to see the Perseid meteor shower, let me know. Unfortunately, it was pretty overcast here, so we didn't get to see as much of it as I would have liked. But I still got to see some of it, and it was really cool. I'm hoping we'll be able to see more of it next year. I understand it happens regularly. Have you heard of Charles Webster? I don't think so. Who's that? Jumds. Mr. Longmeat, are you trying to say that you're a Freemason? We do not harvest the negative emotions from anyone. To the extent that Freemasonry creates emotions, it's positive emotions. And let me know how you are doing. Right, Freemasonry creates positive emotions in communities by fostering a sense of brotherhood, support, and reducing isolation. If you were to say the doctrine of the Trinity is a lie, how would you respond? I would respond by saying you need to talk to a priest or a rabbi or a religious figure who will let you know. You're asking me a religious question. This is about Freemasonry. It's not a religion, and I am not a religious scholar, nor am I a religious expert. So that would be my answer. Jewish people can be Masons, Christian people can be Masons, Hindu people can be Masons, Sikh, Muslim, people like me. There is no rule as to who can or cannot be a Freemason uh, in terms of your religious affiliation. So, Choco Bro, anybody can be. Um, Masonry is not Jewish. Masonry evolved from stone Masonic guilds. It does not associate with any one particular religion or faith. There are parallels between Freemasonry and Judaism, but there's also parallels between Freemasonry and Egyptian mysticism. Ultimately, though, and Freemasonry and Stoicism, and Freemasonry and architecture, and Freemasonry and Christianity, at its core, though, what Freemasonry is a continuation of stonemasonry in a social setting. Um, some Masons will believe in Satan, especially if they are Christian. They'll believe in Satan as a, real figure. Others believe in him maybe in a more philosophical sense. If you're saying believe in as in worship, then no, we do not, because Freemasonry is not a religion. We don't believe in a particular religious being. Gay people can be Masons, straight people can be Masons, it doesn't matter. I've never heard of root beer jam before, Dad. Let me know how that is. I would love to try root beer jam. That sounds really good. And nothing but respect, by the way, to the Transcona Farmers Market. Nothing but respect to Transcona altogether. I think it's an awesome community. I think I grew up not appreciating it as much as I should have. Right? One of the major problems I think we have very often is at least I can speak for myself, very often I don't appreciate, things that are right up close to me, right next to me. Like, because I grew up in Transcona, obviously, I never really appreciated it, I think, as much as I should have. But it really is a great little community, part of a great city. No, Albert Pike is an old-time author who wrote Morals and Dogma. The idea that he matters to Freemasonry has been way overdone. He was from the Southern Scottish Rite jurisdiction. I'm in Canada. What does Albert Pike have to do with my general Masonic journey, or the Masonic journey of probably 90% of Masons? Mr. Slade, what I have is a case of handsomeness. Mr. Peaceful, it depends on how serious. I always tell people, though, don't do the work for the lodge. If you want to be a Freemason, if you're interested in being a Freemason and you have a criminal record, whatever it might be, that does not stop you from going up, approaching the lodge, expressing your interest in joining. You need to be honest with them about what happened and the nature of the criminal offense. Even if they don't ask, you should still tell them. Also tell them what steps you've taken to change your life, to make better decisions, going to counseling, whatever it is. You should still tell them. Also tell them what steps depending on how serious the offense is, it may not matter, and they may just say, no, we're not comfortable. That's up to them. That's their choice. But I think you should still approach the lodge and express your interest in joining. And, it's up to them at the end of the day to say yay or nay. That doesn't stop you from approaching them, talking to them, and asking them. I don't know what an EDP 445 is. Not to my knowledge. Jump, you can't really put links in chats. YouTube usually doesn't like it. If you want to send me a link, the best thing to do is leave it as a comment in a video. That is usually the best approach to take. I got a big forehead, what can I say? Yeah, I would say certain criminal offenses are simply too significant and too great that lodges are not going to accept you. In some jurisdictions, they have a specific term. I can't remember what it is, but for a specific seriousness of offense, I think it's like moral turpitude. I could be getting that completely wrong, where you're just not able to join. But I still believe that you should. Like I said, I never like to prejudge when people say criminal offenses. Go to the lodge, explain what happened. and the lodge will decide based on, amongst other things, its bylaws and its constitution. Um, do Masons sing the Brotherhood of Man song? I've heard of some Masonic songs. I don't recall ever hearing the Brotherhood of Man song. So if there is such a thing as the Brotherhood of Man song, it's not something I know. At least I don't think. It could have been. I know I've been to some lodges in the past where they, at the end of every meeting, they get together, like interlink arms and sing a song. I am a Freemason. Freemasonry is not mysterious. Freemasonry is, here I am talking about it. How mysterious can it be? Well, Mr. Slad, you'd have to talk to a Muslim because I'm not, I don't visit the mosque. Having said that, most of the Muslim, friends I have are quite funny. So my suspicion is yes. Not good here either, Dad. Didn't really get a decent view of it. There was too much cloud coverage. But I do think around 1:55 I saw a cloud. I saw a shooting star. So at least I got to see it once, which was nice. Or at least one meteor. No, user, nice try. Why would you do that, by the way? What's the benefit of doing that? Mr. Redacted, we do not worship the devil. No, there's no running of goats. I have no idea if the U.S. government is not, is honest or not. I think most people are just human beings, and they're honest or dishonest, and the government is made up of human beings. I don't think you can apply that to an entire institution. It gets more complicated. Some Freemasons are Christians. Freemasonry is not a religion, goulash, right? Some Freemasons are Christians, some are Muslims, some are Jewish, some are Hindu, some are Sikh, etc., etc., right? They're of different faiths and backgrounds. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. User, I gotta focus on the positive comments because that's where I want my audience to be. Although YouTube always, like social media, unfortunately trends towards the more negative. I mean, maybe Mr. Slade. I mean, I know what you're saying. I just think it's a little more complicated than what you're saying. Like, I think people are usually, it's pressures. It's the way people react to different pressures, right? That determines, they're not nefarious by nature. It's just the situation, the environment they find themselves in encourages nefarious behavior or encourages positive behavior, depending on the other people around you and the decisions everyone makes together. What I'll say is Freemasonry encourages positive decisions, at least in my expression, in my situation or my experience. So every Mason has a different supreme being. There is no the supreme being, right? Different Masons will have different ideas as to how they define supreme being. For me, the supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and as expressed through geometry. I don't know where Mayo is. I'm sure he's busy, right? People get busy. They come and they go. Maybe he's preparing himself for the August 21st 24-hour stream where I'll need to be calling on my mods to help me out. For 24 hours, you definitely need a lot of mod help and mod assistance, that's for sure. Canon, all is well. I'm from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Gate 88, how can I join a lodge? To be one, ask one. What you need to do is find a Masonic lodge in your area, approach them, and express your interest in joining. You can do it by email. You can do it by knocking on the door, writing them a letter. That's the first step. That's stage one. After that, there's a process to go through. They will get to know you. You get to know them. All that stuff is important. Go out for coffee. Meet with them. You meet with different groups of Masons. Really, it's a chance for you to get to know the lodge better and for the lodge to get to know you better. And over time, at a certain point, they'll give you an application to fill out. You will get a couple of sponsors. And you kind of just go from there. Yes, I do. But the first step is the most important step. There's mayo and Oreos. Um, um, Gate. The most important step is the first step, which is you approach the lodge of your own free will and accord and express your interest in joining. And you go from there. Oh, Mr. Redacted, you got to find a better way to spend your time. I mean, you're wrong, but you keep showing up on streams, particularly in my stream, telling me I'm wrong, which helps with engagement. How is that going, Mayo and Oreos? Actually, a lodge, or not a lodge, a Mason out of Texas has a podcast called the Old Fashioned Podcast, and I think he did a whole episode about Freemasons investing in real estate. If you ever want to check it out, it's not something I know much about. I didn't see the episode yet, so I can't vouch for the information in it. Yeah. No worries, Gate 88. I mean, where are you from? You don't mind my asking. Yes, Lucianne. Thank you for being here, by the way. Third degree is the highest degree. More people need to know that type of stuff. It's unfortunate that people don't. People still think it's the 33rd, which drives me crazy. Third degree is the highest degree in Freemasonry. So, I did want to mention, as you guys know, I was having a poll. I was having a poll. I was polling my Patreon members, and I was polling my YouTube membership as to what I should do this weekend. Should I go to Chicago or Illinois in honor of Masonic Membership Visibility Day happening in Illinois, or should I go to New York to check out the Masonic Medical Research Institute in person? I decided, or actually I didn't decide, I put it up for my YouTube members and my Patreons, and by 3 votes to 1, I'm going to Illinois. I'm still not sure precisely which day I'll go, whether it'll be it'll be on the Saturday, is Masonic Membership Visibility Day, whether I'll head up there first thing Saturday morning or whether I'll head up Friday. I haven't decided yet, but you'll definitely be seeing a lot of content from that day on Sunday. And while I'm traveling, I tend not to be streaming or anything like that as a rule, but you can find content when I come back. I should be back, I think, on the Sunday. Freeport, Illinois, Ken. I'll check it out. I've been to Chicago so many times at this point, as well as usually when I'm there, I go to Glenview. Never been to Freeport, Illinois, at least not to my knowledge. I will have to see if I can check it out. Thank you for the heads up. Do you know if it's possible to get there via, like, the metro system or the train system? Yes. I mean, Redacted just leads a sad life. And when you lead a sad life, one thing that you can do very often is go onto YouTube and try to create enemies out of Freemasons or Jewish people or Muslims or who knows, other groups or doctors or just random groups that you want to create enemies out of because it makes you feel like you're more important. It's kind of what you get used to. Freeport. Let me see if I can find it. I'm curious now, as someone who's never been there. Freeport, Illinois, city in Illinois. I don't know anything about Pokemon, Almeezy, so I can't really help you with that one. Are there any Masonic Pokemon? But right now I'm Googling Freeport. Actually, it's not. So it's past Rockford. Stephanie, that's my experience as well. Usually that's what I think happens also. Luckily, the Illuminati does not exist, Easy. So, apparently you can't get there by... Oops. Oh, sorry, just one sec. So it's 2 hours and 4 minutes, according to Google, but there's no transit system that gets you there. It's weird. You can get to Rockford, Illinois by using the train, the Van Galder, I guess, but looks like not bus. I'll have to check it out. I will definitely Google it though. Thank you for sharing. Um, who is the head of the Freemasons of the USA? That right there shows you don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Redacted. There is no head of the Freemasons in the USA. USA is jurisdictional. So there's a head of Freemasonry in Texas, there's a head of Freemasonry in New York, there's a head of Freemasonry in Louisiana, and all 50 states. And that right there is not including Prince Hall, and for that matter, then you run into the issue of like clandestine Masons, blah blah blah. So no, there is no head of Freemasonry in the United States. Yeah, that's Harley Country, Smooth Country, Road Squad. It'd be really fun to check it out. Is there anyone that what's your predicament, Brian Summers? I do not know what your situation is. So yeah, you can't drop a link. Again, you have to just leave it in a comment to a video. That's usually your best bet, your best chance. I mean, I don't think everybody, when they're following a path in life, is to a certain extent taking a leap of faith, right? That's just human nature. That's kind of what we do in life. We all have to make the best judgments we can. In whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. Hello, Lewis Channel, Freeport Masonic Temple. All right, let's check it out. I'm curious now. Freeport Masonic Temple. I'm from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. 305 West Stevenson Street, Freeport. Okay. Looks like it's also a Masonic Event Center. And there's also a Sharing Memories of Masonic Temple in Freeport, Illinois. That's really cool. I mean, I said many times I hate conspiracy theories for a variety of reasons. The main reason being they distract us from actual problems that we can solve. If you care about, whatever things you care about, solving crimes against or protecting women and children against trafficking, you're going to do far more good by donating to your local women's shelter than by going onto YouTube and, X and posting about the Epstein files for like 20 hours. Ellipse, I've never heard it's described that way before, Scottish or blue. Like there's Blue Lodge or Craft Lodge, and then there's Scottish Rite or York Rite. I can't tell if you're saying emulation ritual or York ritual. So I'm from Ontario, right? So our ritual is emulation. My Blue Lodge is emulation ritual. And then I went into Scottish Rite. I'm currently 18th degree Scottish Rite. So Ken, that depends on how you define atheist, right? My supreme being, I've said this before, is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science. Most people, I think, would consider that to be atheism. In fact, some people on this stream have called it atheism. The term supreme being is so broadly defined that a lot of people get in under that category. If you were to say, though, you absolutely do not believe in any supreme being, period, and could not name anything beyond yourself, then you would not be able to join, quote unquote, regular Freemasonry. There is liberal Freemasonry. It's primarily in France, but they do, allow for atheists. It's also in the Philippines. Ken, you'd have to talk to the lodge, right? I never want to speak because every lodge will kind of decide for themselves what they want to accept or not accept with this, but I would say that's fine if you said nature is God and you could join. I don't think there are secret groups. I think there's just people acting on different interests. And sometimes those interests are bad and they hurt people, and sometimes those interests are good. Sometimes those interests are selfish, sometimes it's something else. I am my grandfather's. Nice, Green Daisy. By the way, Green Daisy, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, my grandfather was a Freemason, both my grandfathers, in fact, as is my father. That's usually it, right? I mean, what I always say is, if you're interested in Freemasonry, don't do the work for the lodge, right? I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. Approach the lodge, express your interest in joining, and be honest and upfront about anything that may be concerning. Like, for example, do you want to, you know, do you have a criminal record? What is your belief in a supreme being? Anything else that you think may be an issue, and let the lodge decide if they're going to accept you or not accept you into the lodge itself, right? Don't do the work for the lodge. Nice, Green Daisy. No worries, Ken. Thank you for being here. Brian, I wish more people knew about or followed Occam's Razor. I think the world would be a lot better place if they did. They're not together in most jurisdictions, Stephanie. One exception is co-masonry, which it does exist in North America, but it's primarily in France. I mean, it's tradition. It's tradition, it's history. It goes back to the idea of Freemasonry starting as a fraternity. And I think it is important that there are times in life where, you know, it's important to have basically a guy's night out. And sometimes that means a very formal version of a guy's night out. Just like it's important to be able to have girls' nights out as well, right? Both of them are important. Both of them, you know, matter a lot. And so I think there is a value to going to a space as a man that is fraternal in nature. And all the evidence shows that, right? The idea of a third space, going back to Robert Putnam, things of that nature. Don't eat that 4-inch tourist pizza. So what's the type of pizza I should order at Canovas? If I can get there, I'd love to. Again, the issue is just actually getting there would be challenging, shall we say. Because it doesn't look like it's possible to get there through the bus system. Let me see. Chicago to Freeport, Illinois Transit. Good to see you, Stabworthy. Well, that's what I call my YouTube channel, YouTube Stabworthy. That's actually what I call my sole proprietorship, which produces content about Freemasonry on a variety of platforms. I named it, obviously, because it relates to Freemasonry. Square, I didn't call it Square and Compasses, I called it Square and Compass, because Square and Compasses is the official term, and I wanted to make it clear that I speak for myself exclusively, and not for an official Grand Lodge. Oof, so to get to Freeport from Chicago, you have to take the bus to you basically take the bus, yeah, to the next big town and then take a taxi. And it's not cheap. So I'll have to figure out a way to do it at some point. If anybody ever is going that way, I'll see if I can go with them. We can say we're Freemasons, Ken Nestains. It's up to each individual Mason to say if he is or isn't a Freemason. And that's perfectly cool. Some are more private and they like to keep things private. I've never had any problem talking about anything, including that I'm a Freemason. If they want, yes, that's the key term, if they want. Hello, Barber. Thank you for being here. Barber from where? Because I got a couple different spots. We're talking about from the Prince on Wyandotte Street East. Basically just a little bit east of the KFC. Welcome. You guys do a great job. I love your haircuts. Everybody, if you get the chance, check it out. The Prince Barber Shop. I mentioned you guys a few times before. Oh, Rito. So in Ottawa. Welcome. Thank you for being here. You did a great job in the Rito Center. I can't think of remember the name now. Forgive me. I've got my hair cut there a couple times. Um, Whatever the name of it was, put it in the chat. You guys did a great job. I loved my haircut. It was great. Um, Whenever I'm visiting Ottawa, because I lived there for a couple of years and I loved it, and it's one of my favorite places in the world. If I do need to get a haircut, I usually go to the same spot in the Rideau Center. It's on the third floor. It's just before you exit to the Mackenzie Bridge and the bus stop. Taylor and Colt, there we go. Taylor and Colt, they do good haircuts. Um, and hello, Ahmad. Being human, I don't think you should. So square and compasses, that is this here. If I could actually show you guys. That is this symbol here, right? This is the square. And then this is the compasses. So square compasses with the G in the middle. So when people talk about the square and compasses, they're talking about a Masonic symbol, which is really, really cool. And something I really like to mention. And so I called myself the Square and Compass Promotions, because we promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. But I didn't call it Square and Compasses because I didn't want people to think it was an official YouTube channel, in the sense that I speak for Grand Lodges, right? I speak for myself, my own opinions, my own kind of thoughts on Freemasonry. Hello, Love Happy. Please hit like and subscribe. I love it when people hit like, hit subscribe, and do super chats. For that, YouTube, you got to join. I never tell people what it stands for. I feel like it's more fun if you find out after you join. That's one of those secrets I think it's kind of cool to keep. By the way, if people know me, one thing they know is I love scary movies. I love the Friday the 13th movies. As of today is the anniversary of the release of Friday the 13th Part 3, as well as Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Two of my favorite scary movies of all time. Definitely two of my favorite Fridays. You can guess. I will neither confirm nor deny. Actually, I will deny. It does not stand for generative principle. Some Dan Byrne. I enjoyed Us a fair bit. I didn't mind Nope. So there you go. So you're trying out root beer jam, and you're trying honey pizza flavored potato chips. Hot honey pizza, no less. You are just going on a crazy day of exploration, Dad. Maybe, Stephanie, maybe you're getting a little bit closer. But not Gnosis. It doesn't stand for that. Some say it does, and I've heard some reports, but I was never taught it stands for Gnosis. Racing driver. I don't know who Jinxie is. People keep telling me that it's Jinxie in 15 years. I assume Jinxie's a super awesome, handsome fella. Is that a good thing? Is Jinxie handsome? I'd be worried if you're saying I look ugly. But I guess you'd be saying Jinxie looks ugly at that point. I'm sure Jinxie is a very handsome and very talented streamer. Well, there you go, racing driver. I'll take it. Let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, comments on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, neutral. Let me know how you're doing, and if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Let me know also if you saw any of the Perseid meteor shower yesterday. I sadly did not. I mean, I think I saw one meteor. Well, one meteor for sure I saw at 1:55 in the morning. A couple other ones I thought I may have seen. I wasn't positive. I streamed from my balcony, so I streamed from like the darkness yesterday because I had all the lights out. I was trying to see any meteor showers. Robert, that's pretty cool. I didn't see the eclipse either, Rondo. But Robert, that is very cool. I mean, if you're hunted by anybody, call the police, for heaven's sakes. Masons aren't hunting people. That doesn't mean Masons don't mess up and do bad things. And if they do, you should call the police. But if you're following the ethics of Masonry or the truth of Freemasonry, then you will be a good citizen, a good neighbor, a good friend, a good brother, etc., etc. Please don't forget, by the way, make sure that you mark on your calendars August 21st to August 22nd, 24-hour content marathon. We're going to be talking about the incredible and the beautiful and the awesome Masonic Medical Research Institute. In my opinion, a absolute Masonic crown jewel does not get near the love it deserves. That's too bad, YouTube. I think I did see one. Like I said, I'm not positive, but I think I saw one. So I heard about that, Dad. Did you talk to your sisters? Do you know if they saw anything? Well, I mean, obviously, you should contact the police if you think if anybody was hunting you, or you're concerned that someone's hunting you. Better to contact the police and let them know, and they have a record of it. Freemasonry is not a cult. I mean, some random people consider it a cult, I guess, on YouTube, but they're wrong. Freemasonry is not a cult. For a variety of reasons, the main one being it does not attempt to isolate individuals from friends, family, or people around them. Well, I am a Virgo, Rondo. I don't know who Crondon is, but thank you for being here. Sid in Logistics, please hit like and subscribe. Who is that actor? He's not one I'm aware of. One thing I just discovered that I thought was really fascinating. I just read this now. I just posted it on my X account. Where is it? Yep, I'm a Virgo. But people tell me I'm more of a Libra, like in the way I act. Where'd it go? I had it. I'm trying to find a tweet I saw that I want to share. Actor played Tombstone. I haven't seen... Which Spider-Man? Which Tombstone? September 22nd. Where was it? It was Ryan Grimm who said it. I mean, Freemasonry has no rules about who you can and can't marry, other than the rules of the country in which you live. So if you live in a country where it's illegal to have multiple wives, then you cannot have multiple wives. Because Freemasonry, you are first and foremost, here it is, expected to, you are first and foremost expected to be a Canadian, be an American, follow the laws of the country in which you live. So I guess if you're in a country where that's allowed, I don't know if any do allow it, you can have multiple wives, but in Canada, no. Oh, I've not seen Brand New Day yet. I mean, I'm not a huge Marvel movie fan, so I can't really speak to it, right? I don't really watch the Marvel movies very much. I don't know, Dad, yet. It'll be this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to leave Friday night or Saturday morning. I am going to try, though, this Friday to cross the Gordie Howe Bridge. I don't think I'll spend that much time over in the States at that point, but I want to try to cross, with my cross just on my wheelchair. I've been living in Windsor since 2006. This would be the first time I would ever be able to actually walk or wheel across into the States. I've always had to drive or whatever it is, take a bus. I think that'd be really, really cool. I don't think King Solomon literally existed, Stephanie. I think he's a legend. Divine, well, I wasn't here at the time. I think it's possible as a Canadian to be both very proud of your country and accept and admit that we made a lot of mistakes, including our treatment of First Nations. I don't think those two things have to be in opposition. I've actually written about the ways that Freemasonry supports our Indigenous populations and Indigenous and First Nations groups. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the positive relationship Freemasonry has had with Indigenous peoples across North America and, for that matter, the world. A good example of that is the Oklahoma Indian Masonic degree team. So here's what the tweet I wanted to read. I mean, I don't think that's a fair statement, BG. And to my understanding, this idea of they were selling the land or whatever it is, there were completely different concepts of what that meant and what the rules were and what the understanding of that would be. And also, I think they got a pretty bum deal on it. And I don't think you can use a buyer beware situation when it's about land, and particularly land of a people who had already been there. So this was tweeted by somebody called Zero Hedge. I don't know, their typical tweets. They do have a picture of Tyler Durden from Fight Club in there, which is concerning to me in their profile pic. But nonetheless, this is the tweet. Got 513,000 views. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the long-feared Google zero moment, when Google search largely stops sending traffic to third-party sites. Some publications are seeing traffic drops of more than 40% between mid-2005 and mid-2006. Publishers face a choice. Allow Google's multi-purpose crawlers, which feed both traditional search and AI training, or block them and lose search visibility entirely. Several major outlets, including USA Today, Reddit, Political, Reuters, and others, are now openly considering or preparing to restrict Google's access, while Cloudflare plans to start blocking multi-purpose crawlers by default from mid-September unless site owners opt out. The old model, in which publishers had no real alternative to Google's rule, is cracking. So, what this means is, back in the day, if you wanted to learn about, let's say, the price of gas, you would type into Google, what is the price of gas on, August 13th? Google would then give you a list of websites, a list of third-party sites. It could be, the National Gas Index website or whatever that's called. It could be news articles and newspapers and news reports, whatever it is. But it gives you a list of third-party sites. You'd have to click on the third-party site, and then that would tell you the price of gas August 13th, 2026. Now, because of Gemini and AI, you type into Google, what is the price of gas August 13th? The first thing it will show you is not a list of third-party websites reporting on the price. It will actually give you an artificially intelligent and AI-generated answer to your question. And you can simply read that and know the answer without needing to click on and support any third party. And I use Gemini all the time myself. Many people do, right? The reason that's important to Freemasonry, and I've written about this, back in the day, 30, I think Google was around at that point, certainly 10 years ago. If you want to learn what Freemasonry is, you would type into Google, what is Freemasonry? And Freemasonry would give you a list of third-party websites, third-party websites. Grand Lodge of New York, Grand Lodge of Canada. It'd be based on where you live primarily. You would then click on those and you'd be directed to a Grand Lodge or Masonic website that would let you know what Freemasonry is. And our Masonic lodges, Masonic buildings, and Masonic Grand Lodges could rely on Google to send people our way if they asked Google, what is Freemasonry? Now in 2026, if you type in what is Freemasonry, the first answer you're going to get is not going to be a list of websites. It's going to be an artificially intelligent or an AI-generated answer on Gemini, meaning you no longer need to go to the websites to get the answer. And that creates a problem for Freemasonry. Do we allow Google's multi-purpose crawlers, which is how they get information from the web, access to our Masonic websites to gather information and give it to people? Or do we try to block it, forcing people to then go directly to our websites? And the danger of that is if we do not allow the crawlers to join our websites, they're just going to find the information from clandestine sources. Bongalicious, I think it's okay. All right, we're going to put some people in timeout a little bit. People need to calm down. Guys are being dumb. We're going to put Bradley in a timeout. We're going to put BGN in a timeout. Good afternoon, Yo Maple. How's it going? I mean, racism can be a reality. You know, unfortunately, so some people can be good, some people can be bad. That's human nature, right? Human nature is such that people can be both positive and negative and good and bad, and racism exists. I'm not going to pretend, again, I think it's perfectly possible to be both very proud to be Canadian and grateful to be Canadian, both of which I am, but also to recognize and understand that on a certain level, Canada did a lot of really negative things to its First Nations and the people who are already here. And how we balance those two things, I have no idea. I just think it's possible. And I mean, I've written a ton about what we can do in Freemasonry to support Indigenous people as well as to support our Indigenous Masons, Indigenous brothers. I posted all of those articles on Medium, so please check it out. Yes, Divine Wave, I hope we treat each other well also. One way that we can help tip the scales, it doesn't guarantee, but it encourages us to treat each other well, is through this thing called Freemasonry. Jack, I don't think I do well in the UFC. I have no legs, but I could probably get a couple shots in. I like to think I'm pretty tough. Well, I mean, the ways express. Do you have Medium, out of curiosity? Do you know what Medium is? Yes, it's found on the stream. But out of curiosity, do you, like I said, do you follow Medium at all? Because I've written about, on a few different occasions, I've written about Freemasonry and Indigenous peoples, especially in Canada, and what we can do to support that. Yes, Medium is like a blogging site. The link is in the description. If you go there, you can find my site, and you can find a few different articles I've written about Freemasonry and First Nations. I mean, I would love to see humanity on Mars. I'd love to see humanity on the moon. I'm so I'm 42 now. Let's assume I'm going to have another 35 years, live to 78, which would be, I think, life expectancy or slightly over life expectancy. You know, I hope I live long enough to see human beings, particularly Freemasons, actually living on the moon. I'd love to live long enough to see the first ever Masonic meeting take place on the moon. I think that would be really cool. That's true, Dad, and that's why you need to be really careful and really smart, and really discerning. It's unfortunately far too easy for people to. I've seen a lot of people fall for AI images. My mouth is perfectly fine. The thing is, I'm so handsome that if I got the gap in my teeth fixed, which I assume is what you're talking about, I would not leave any women for the rest of you. So, Rats Orangeman, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, ultimately, I'm not that scared of AI. I know it sounds kind of strange because people seem to be. In my experience, in my experience, technology has been nothing but beneficial to society. And so because of that, I think we have to give technology the benefit of the doubt. I cannot live the life I'm leading. I cannot have the job I have. I cannot do the work I do without technology and without technological advancement. And I think AI is just another natural progression of that. I mean, Stephanie, I guess anything's possible. I don't think there'll be any obelisks on Mars unless we put some there. And again, I don't know how long I'm going to live. None of us do, so we should always be grateful for the time we have. But I'm definitely knocking on wood that I'm going to live long enough to see human beings, if not colonize Mars, colonize the moon, and in the process of that, have a Masonic meeting on the moon. Obviously, it should be Tranquility Lodge 2000 that meets there first. If you know, you know. I don't know what the J question is, Arpats. Entropy world will be. Entropy is the nature of the universe, not just the world, right? Actually, I have entropy on my arm. This is the mathematical symbol for entropy. Does this make you happy? What am I, some type of king of England over here fixing my collar? That's the best I can do. Do you mean are Freemasons philanthropists, or are we I mean, Freemasonry very often engages in philanthropy. At least, I don't know what the difference is necessarily, or how you would define the difference between charity and philanthropy, but certainly Freemasonry engages in a lot of charitable activities, as I try to, when I can, help people around me. Charity comes in many different forms, as does philanthropy. I mean, I might be going to a fish dinner tomorrow night, Arpats, but I also love Masonic dinners of a variety of sorts, spaghetti dinners or otherwise. I support that. Do I believe in reincarnation? No, I do not. Some Masons may. Just depends on, what your personal beliefs are. I don't think humanity has a purpose other than what we create within ourselves. Many Freemasons are Christians. I would agree with that. I know I look like Shrek. Gareth, please hit like and subscribe nonetheless. And I hope everybody is doing well. Our galaxy is pretty big. I hope so. I mean, I've talked we got hearts. I've talked so many times about Freemasonry. I've talked so many times about Freemasonry and space exploration and what it is, or the ways in which Freemasonry is connected to space exploration. When humanity was going to the moon, the Freemasons were there. John Glenn, Buzz Aldrin. Freemasons are now exploring the distant reaches of the galaxy, space explorers or telescopes and satellites are now exploring the outer reaches of the galaxy and the universe, in fact, and Freemasonry is there. So I do hope if and when humanity ventures outside of our galaxy, that Freemasonry is there as well. Many are Christians, Stormy. Many are Christians, many are Muslim, many are Jewish, etc., etc., etc. We are living in Earth, but I think we don't have to live just in Earth. Hello, Smokey. Thank you for the hearts. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Horizontal, I did not clog your toilets. Smokey did. I'm going to try to send you a message on Discord today if I can remember. I'm going to see if we can do a practice live stream next week because I've been having trouble going live with people. I don't know what's going on, so I'm trying to figure out why I can't make it work. No, I think we are not. I think sometimes people seem hell bent on trying to make it seem like we're living in hell, which is unfortunate, but I definitely don't think we are. Um, I mean, Stormy, when you say they, like they in Freemasonry, there is no they in Freemasonry. We have a variety of different Masons, who have a variety of different beliefs, and a variety of different understandings of the universe. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. The nature of that supreme being is up to you. Um, but, I would say the majority of Freemasons that I've met, at least in my life, are Christian. I mean, what are you, Stormy, basing your comments on? Well, I mean, we can definitely create our own internal hells and our own internal heavens, divine wave. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all. Let me get you a message tonight, and I'll see what I can do. Have you tried to stream with anybody? Have you been having troubles with it? Just like I said, it's been driving me crazy. How many members are in my home lodge? Well, I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges, but my home lodge, Windsor Lodge 403, there's, if I recall correctly, approximately right now around 70 or so, give or take. Right? What's really unfortunate, though, um, is the fact that we have so many, we have so many fewer members in all of our lodges in 2026 than we did 100 years ago, than we did 50 years ago. Okay, where is Kennedy High School? And I wish you best of luck. Eco, we're talking about Freemasonry. We're talking about Freemasonry. I started this challenge to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. I know I got a big forehead. I've grown to accept it. Please hit like and subscribe. Okay, I'm trying to Chicago, Illinois. Okay, so I'm going to be in Chicago this weekend. I'm not sure when I'm leaving, because it is Masonic Membership Visibility Day, but that is cool. As I said a million times, Chicago, in my opinion, greatest city in the world. Now, if I had to pick, like, emotionally my favorite city, I honestly would probably pick Windsor because it's my home, but Chicago's up there, and a lot of incredible Masons there as well. And this Saturday is Masonic Membership Visibility Day. Um, oh my gosh, I don't know. 150, probably 150 to 200. Um, Freemasonry is a civic club or a civic group that has existed. It's because I got the red divine. A civic club or a civic group that has existed for over 300 years. It's a club, and it's an organization dedicated to, amongst other things, brotherly love, relief, and truth. But think about it like a civic club. What does it do? It encourages people to spend time with one another, which is a very important thing, and encourages people to spend time with one another regardless of race, religion, creed, ethnicity, language, etc., etc., both of which are very important. Yes, I've been a part of it for 20 years. I started this challenge to promote Freemasonry, or to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to our communities, and to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So, there you go. Oh no, I included those as well, because they are Masonic lodges, but they are what are called affinity lodges, which is lodges based on common or shared interests. And very often those type of lodges welcome in affiliates from around the world. They very often don't have meetings as regularly, though, right? That's kind of one of the differences. Nope, there's no riding of goats. Nice. Well, he's in your area, Smokey, right? If I recall correctly, he's in Minnesota. So that's really cool. I hope that you. I've heard he's a pretty nice dude, but I think very often, a lot of times, dudes like him who basically don't have to be afraid of anybody ever can, if they so choose, usually are the nicest guys because they don't have anything to prove. Oops. I mean, Yo Maple, yeah, well, that's an issue, right? It's one of those things where, like, what does it mean to say that um, something is exclusive? Sometimes that can be actually a helpful thing for recruiting in a weird way because people, the more exclusive something is, the more likely people are to want to be part of it and see it, and say, like, I want to join. That's kind of just one of those really interesting things about Freemasonry is we're always trying to find that balance between, okay, should we be exclusive? How exclusive? What does it mean to be exclusive? Does being exclusive create an air of mystery that encourages people to want to join? But does it also encourage people to join for the wrong reasons? If someone is joining because they want to be part of an exclusive club and not because they want to be of service, I think that's very concerning. But there's a big debate right now amongst, do we want to try to encourage people to once again view Freemasonry as some type of exclusive thing? Hello, Ethan. Well, thank you for being here. Many Freemasons are Christian. I would agree with you. Freemasons have parties. I don't think they're that weird. Mostly we just go out for dinner and, eat pizza or whatever it is. We have pizza parties very often. I don't think it is Rondo, but I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know what their numbers are. I mean, it's tough to say because, yeah, on the one hand, because it's so inexpensive and because you don't have to attend in-person meetings, it may actually have a very large affiliate membership number, but certainly in terms of like the number of people going to attend meetings regularly, I think that's a little bit lower. I will say this, nothing but respect to Tranquility Lodge. One event I just heard they're organizing, and I wanted to go to it really badly, but yeah, I wasn't able to time it out properly. They were organizing a visitation to a NASA, I think it was NASA engineering factory, or some type of NASA plant where they construct engines for spaceships, which is so cool. And I would have loved to have been on that because I think it would be incredible to see. But I wasn't able to make it work. But lodges need to be doing more stuff like that. I got a big nose. What can I say? So Joseph Smith was a confirmed Mason. Obviously, I'm not a fan of anti-Masonic parties because, I think Freemasonry makes the world a better place. So anything that's anti-Masonic concerns me for obvious reasons. Why we gotta be this way? Why you gotta be making fun of the way I look? My head is perfectly fine. Just for the record. It should be. I mean, it depends, right? If you are naturally interested in space and science and the moon, then obviously, and you happen to be a Freemason, then you're probably going to seek out Tranquility Lodge. But I don't think enough people know about Tranquility Lodge, to be honest, which is really unfortunate. There are probably, I would be willing to bet, a lot of Masons out there who love Freemasonry, but who love the moon, love moon landing, but don't know about, don't know anything about Tranquility Lodge, which is unfortunate. I'm trying to change it. I hope I can at some point. So America did not fake the moon landing in 1969. America did not fake the moon landing at any point in time. And believing that is nonsense. And and a bad thing to believe because it's disrespectful to all the people who gave up their time, their effort, their lives to the space program. Smokey, you get used to it. No, 1969 is when we landed on the moon, if I recall correctly. That's true. I mean, a lot of people join Freemasonry and they may not have joined it for the purposes of, but they discover very quickly that you develop a lot of skills you may not have expected. Skills related to things like public speaking, skills related to things like hard work, meeting management, the work of organizing a meeting, keeping it on track, public speaking, memorization. I've always said, and I still say, if you wanted to be, if you wanted to have a job where you have to run, let's say, a board meeting or several board meetings in a day, or much of your work does involve board meetings, join a Masonic lodge, become a worshipful master or a secretary. You will learn very quickly how to run a board meeting, how to keep it on track. So that helps a lot. Or if you want to become a public speaker, Freemasonry is going to help quite a bit as well. Freemasonry is not evil. NASA is not evil. If you add a T to NASA, you get Nesat. You have to both add the T and move the words, move the letters around. No, Pastor, and you know that's not true because I've said it here so many times. 9 of the 56 signers were Freemasons, at least 9 confirmed. Thank you, Kurz. Yes. What's evil spelled backwards? Evil spelled backwards is live or live. And I'm live streaming right now, so maybe I am in fact evil. Who knows? We're just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. I don't have any specific topics for today. I did enjoy yesterday talking about Rosetta Stone. I also did enjoy, not enjoy is the right term, but I did find it fascinating, the article I read this morning about AI answers replacing traditional search. What that means is we as Freemasons need to spend way more time thinking about our relationship to AI because, in 2026, the number of people who are going to learn about what Freemasonry is by asking an chatbot or asking an LLM is going to be greater than the number of people who use Google third parties. NK, maybe I did just come out of a cave. Please hit like and subscribe. Yes, that's true, Dad. I never thought of that, but that's a really good point. If you ever want to get a type of job in catering or cooking or preparing food for groups or parties, being a junior warden is a very valuable office to take, and you'll learn a lot of skill about how to do that because you have to deal with a budget with multiple potential food allergies, food preferences, dietary restrictions. You never know how many people are going to show up, which does make it challenging as well. It's a really interesting, really fascinating thing. The big secret, RQP, is there is no big secret. There actually are Robert Heaton food masons. There's a fine dining lodge in London, if I recall correctly, that meets 4 times per year. And the big thing is after lodge meetings, they go to out to some type of fine dining restaurant. It's usually very expensive to go, etc., but it's really cool. I've actually written about Freemasonry and fine dining in the past, or Freemasonry and lessons we can take from the fine dining world, specifically from the bear or from the concept of unreasonable hospitality. So, I am not calcium oxide. I don't know why I would. I think that's targeted to a much different age demographic than me. I've never seen any LMs tell me the passwords for now. Every now and then I check on that, and I ask LLMs to like reveal the secrets to see if they will or not. But if they will, and if they do, it just kind of is what it is, right? Um, Calcium, I'm a bit too old to watch Paw Patrol. Please hit like and subscribe. We're not secretive. We do have private elements to our rituals. There's a reason for it, right? Maintaining the privacy of our Masonic rituals is a way to maintain the bonds of brotherhood. It's no different than a family recipe. The reason I don't share my family recipe with other people, or my grandmother's recipe for cookies, is because maintaining the family recipe, it maintains the bonds between past, present, and future generations. Freemasonry is no different. Our ritual is like our family recipe. And, you know, just like, and also, they're not my secrets to give. Like, my grandma's recipe for cookies, it's not my recipe to give, it belongs to the family. Freemasonry is the same way. I think it would, Rondo. That'd be really fascinating to try. Honestly, that's a really interesting idea. I wonder if I could try that. That's a really clever idea, Rondo. I'm just curious, though. Like, I would try it and see if it would pass it, but then how could I monetize it? Or not even monetize it, content create it, because I can't put it on YouTube, obviously. But that's a really clever idea. I'm going to try that, Rhonda. I'm curious. I'll try it with different LLMs, right? Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT would be the big ones. Really? I'm going to look that up, Robert. I did not know about that in New Orleans, but I'm going to look that up for sure. I mean, Stephanie, the issue is we can't really have a perversion, quote unquote, of power in Freemasonry. Not because human beings can't find perversions, we can in anything, but because Freemasonry does not have power, right? Freemasonry is a decentralized order. You know, the highest ranking Mason in, let's say, Texas, even if he becomes, let's say, corrupted or perverts Freemasonry, which he doesn't, by the way, I know him, he's a good dude. But the point is, that can't extend and affect Freemasonry outside of Texas. And eventually, other lodges and Grand Lodges would just reduce recognition, right? Like, there is no power within Freemasonry. That's the key, at least not in a political sense. Metaphorically, there's power in friendship, there's power in charity, there's power in brotherhood. There's no institutional power that can be, quote unquote, perverted, at least not meaningfully or to scale, right? Scale is the key word there. Well, rituals, RQ, create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. Football teams, whether it be American football or soccer, football teams have rituals. Musicians have rituals before they go on stage. Cooks have rituals before they, prepare for dinner service. And it's a way to combine and bring everybody together and create a common and shared experience, which then helps the well-functioning of the lodge. Smoking for some people can be a ritual, Stephanie. You're not wrong. Right? Like, very often, Stephanie, people who have addictions, and that includes to cigarettes, they also develop a whole routine and ritual around the action and around the substance use. Even, like, ritual is not always a healthy thing, or the consequences of it aren't always healthy. You look at gambling. Very often gamblers and problematic gamblers will develop these, like, rituals and ceremonies around their gambling. They'll set up, icons, whatever it is. They'll go with a friend. They think it brings them good luck, which it doesn't. But one of the purposes of rituals, again, is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. Hello, Mr. Dane Mapping. Yeah, I mean, Yo Maple, I think very often, I think there's probably a line between routine and ritual. But definitely I think some people can turn their typical cleaning routine into a ritual if they feel like there's some type of specific emotional benefit they get from having a ritual, which does happen. But the idea that ritual is exclusively a religious thing, that's just not the case. I don't think that's kind of ever been the case completely. Subconscious programming, I need a full moon, LOL, reprogram my mind. I mean, I think sometimes we can all feel that way, Stephanie, that we need kind of a reprogramming. You're probably doing okay though. Just keep up the good work and one foot in front of the other, right? One step in front of the other. Or one step after the other if you're struggling. Well, Ben, why must every ritual be religious? Again, a football team very often has a ritual before they go onto the field. Are they a religion? I mean, I can see it because human nature is such that it sometimes tends toward the bad, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize that the suspicions are also bad, right? Because at its core, what the suspicion is saying is people are not allowed to have private relationships or civic relationships, right? Every single person, including you, RQB, has relationships where there's secrets within them, right? A friend asks you to keep a secret, a friend asks you, shares something private with you they don't want other people to know. Maybe you have multiple friends, and each one, you have different private information that they've shared with you that you've shared with them. You have the right to your private relationships. You also have the right to your private groups and organizations without being. It's not just that you have the right to them, but you have the right to them without people judging you for them or assuming the worst. Because it's that suspicion and assumption that very often leads to fascism and dictatorship, right? Because one of the hallmarks of dictatorships and one of the hallmarks of kind of evil governance is that they say human beings are not allowed to have private relationships with one another or secrets. Everything has to go through the government and go through the common, which is, it starts with people not trusting others, and then it extends out to the government not trusting you, and then you get fascism. I don't think that's true. Boogie 350. Well, I think then we get into this debate about what rights do leaders have, what rights do people in government have. As of right now, there is no world leader who is a Freemason, to my knowledge. George Washington in the past, etc., etc. My answer to that is the same answer as I give with police officers who are Freemasons. I think it's completely reasonable and completely fair that if you are becoming a police officer, you're getting paid by the state, you have to disclose that you're a Freemason to your superiors. Thus, you can avoid any potential conflicts of interest. You shouldn't be forced to reveal any private information about the rituals or the ceremonies. I don't think that's appropriate. But you should be forced to tell your superior officers that you are a police officer. And that gets kept in a file. The public doesn't have to know. But it's a way to mitigate potential conflicts of interest. If there's a crime committed, and it turns out either the person committing the crime or the victim is a Freemason, and your superior officers know that you're also a Freemason, you can take steps to limit the conflict of interest by assigning a new police officer to follow up, whatever it might be. In the same way, if you're running for political office, prime minister, whatever it is, I think it's completely fair that the public expect you to disclose that you're a Freemason. Like Mitt Romney had to disclose he was a Freemason. I think that's absolutely the right thing to do. I don't think it's right, however, to expect that person to share the private information about ceremonies and secrets and things like that. But if somebody doesn't want to vote for them because they're a Freemason, then so be it. There's nothing you can kind of do about that, right? People make their own choice. I wish we had more Freemasons in politics. I think the world would be a better place. Yes, they got a big forehead. People keep liking to say that. I think, Mr. Tyler, I think non-Native Americans can do it as well. I think it just depends on the circumstances. I think you need like some type of what's it called, prescription, but don't quote me on that. Um, I mean, hazing is not okay. I've never been to any Masonic lodges with hazing, and if there was, I would say it's not okay. I have seen Eyes Wide Shut. The first Freemason was more than likely three brothers, if I recall correctly, called the Anderson brothers, who were the first speculative Masons who joined St. Mary's Lodge in Scotland, if I recall correctly. If you want to say the first stonemason, it gets a bit more complicated. Biblically, people always say Nimrod. I don't know if we would ever know the first stonemason truly, though. Okay. Well, I mean, there's probably historical or traditional reasons for that. Um, I've never been to the Rothschild mansion. I'm not that cool. And to my knowledge, most of the Rothschilds are not Freemasons. What's my cap size? Are you trying to send me a hat? It's big. I got a big forehead. What can I say? We're just going to keep hanging out. Wait to see who jumps on. No particular topics for today's stream. We're just hanging out, chatting, talking about whatever. Waiting to see who joins. None of what you're saying makes any sense to me. All of the lights. I will say that's a great song. To its credit, I'll say that. I do like that song very much. Kanye West, not a big fan of, but that's a different story. Do I know of Lucifer? I mean, sure, I know of Lucifer. He's a religious figure. Some would say a mythological figure. Some would say he's real. It depends if you're Christian or not. Have you ever read Rhapsody? I've never. What's it about? Um, Ashton Kutcher wore a Masonic hat? I never heard of that. Let me check. It's funny when I type it into Google, what pops up is Ashton Kutcher Freemason hat. I mean, he could be, or he could just be wearing the hat. Like, one of the things I've talked about a lot in the past is you need to be really careful the extent to which, just because somebody's wearing a hat or wearing a shirt or even has a ring or a necklace or whatever it is that claims that they're a Freemason or that is a Masonic symbol, that doesn't mean they are in fact a Freemason. They could very easily have purchased those online because they like the design and think it looks cool. It could have been passed on to them from family or friends and they don't know what it is. Or they could want to try to pretend to be a Freemason. The one way to know for sure is you need to ask for a current and up-to-date dues card and kind of go from there. That's the best way to know. No, I would be instructed to contact the police, RQB, as all Masons should. Really? I did not know that, I am Watkins, but that's a cool story. How long was he? Was he a Mason? I don't think he was. I think he just liked the design, right? Maybe there are no secret handshakes, all of the lights. You want to find out? Got to join. But no, I've talked about this before. I actually did a YouTube video about this. Freemasonry since 1723 and earlier, you've always been instructed to obey the civil magistrates and obey the laws of the country in which you live, or are passing through or working, whatever it might be. Well, what is the agenda of Freemasonry? Because to me, based on my 20 years of being a Freemason, the agenda of Freemasonry is people spending time with one another. What else would it be? My suspicion is you have a different view of quote-unquote agendas. To be one, ask one, each one, teach one. That's a very good mentoring idea. I support that a lot. But I don't think it has to be, each three can teach one, right? You can have more than one sponsor. I mean, any ceremony will have kind of representation from a variety of different sources. It wouldn't shock me to say there's some connections, but I'm trying to think back to like my graduation ceremonies. I don't recall any of them feeling particularly Masonic. Um, so first of all, if you want to be a 33rd degree straight away, you're not joining for the right reason. It shows you don't understand Freemasonry. There's nothing to do with 33rd degrees or any of that nonsense. Ugh, I'll be back in a second. I got to deal with something. I mean, a square cap and a gown is not inherently Masonic. Ugh, I cannot wait to get my AC fixed. I don't think it's sad that I'm vaccinated. I think it's actually a sign that I care about and support my community and the people around me and want them to be well. And also don't want to take up and use medical resources unnecessarily. Um, so, I mean, in my experience, no, every Masonic, and there's no, you can't say Freemasons did X or Freemasons did Y, because every Masonic jurisdiction was under different rules and different regulations. In my experience, so if I recall correctly, and I could be getting the dates of this wrong, Canker, but I think I'm getting this right. The vaccines for COVID came out in the spring of 2021. Um, when they came out and when I could get them, I immediately got my 2 doses. After that, I had to wait for 2 weeks, and then I was able to travel again. And so I started traveling again in July of 2021 through the United States, visiting Masonic lodges around the United States. And really, honestly, what it came down to is, for better or worse, the political kind of leanings of where the Masons were. So, for example, I went to a Masonic meeting in Kentucky, and there was no checking of vaccination status. There was no concern for vaccination status. There was no masking. None of that. I still would have got vaccinated anyways, and would have worn a mask anyways. But it was not brought up or considered relevant. Then I went to a Masonic meeting in California, and before I could go in, they checked my vaccination status, and there was masking at some parts of it. So, I mean, Freemasons are human beings, but part of that also was every Mason is responsible to comply with the government or to comply with the law of the country in which they live or work. I've said it a million times, I am Canadian first and Freemason second. So what that means is, if you're Freemasons and you're meeting in a state, in a county that does not require vaccinations to hold gatherings or masking, then the lodge may choose to do it of their own volition, but they don't have to, because there's no requirement to do so. Whereas if you're in a state or an area where it's the opposite, you have to follow that rule as well. So it really depended. I can tell you, for me, I supported requiring vaccination status, but that was my personal opinion. If I went to a place and the lodge didn't require it, then so be it. It's not my place to say what they should or shouldn't do. It's just my place to state my preferences. So high-ranking Masons are not satanic and not disgusting. In fact, there's no such thing as a high-ranking Mason. The highest rank in Freemasonry is the highest degree in Freemasonry is the third degree. Well, canker, probably because you're being dumb, so don't be dumb. Um, and you'll be okay. I've never been in prison. Actually, I've been in prison a lot. I worked in a prison. I worked in prison for 5 years. And then I worked as a probation officer for 5 years before that. Um, I mean, I am actually getting another vaccine today, so there you go. I guess take that for whatever it's worth. I'm not glowing green yet. I think vaccination is kind of a sacrifice in the same way paying of taxes is a sacrifice, or in the same way exercising is a sacrifice. It's something you do not just for yourself, but it's something you do for the common good. Um, I mean, he did and he didn't. I mean, President Trump also. Look, I'm no fan, and this is me speaking personally. I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but if I had to give him credit for something, I'd give him credit for Operation Warp Speed, which I think was one of the one of the greatest things, not just in of his presidency, but of my lifetime. Um, Man, we got a lot of anti-vaxxers on the stream. Well, Freemasonry has no position on vaccination, pro or against. I can tell you this, though. I think if you're a Freemason, you should get vaccinated. I think if you're a human being, you should get vaccinated. Um, and whether it be, like, I travel a lot, so hepatitis A, hepatitis B, yellow fever, tetanus, flu, and COVID, I've got all of those vaccinations. Not glowing green yet, so um, well, it depends, Yo Maple, where you're going. In my experience, it's very often recommended but not required. Obviously, during COVID, it was. So if I wanted to travel to the United States, I had to show my vaccine card both when I was entering the States and when I was leaving the States, getting back into Canada, um, as well as taking a test and getting a negative COVID test um, to both enter and leave the country. Which, again, it's my responsibility as a Freemason to know what the rules are when I'm traveling somewhere else when it comes to things like passport, vaccinations, whatever it might be. Um, I forget, Vihan. I have to double check. Somebody can double check. I could be wrong. I believe 10 years, but I could be mistaken about that. Um, well, I've taken them all. Canker, my suspicion is you probably are just having not so great of a life, and you're looking for enemies and conspiracies and all the rest of it instead of focusing on your own stuff. Dr. Fauci, vaccines are big and they're scary and blah blah blah, and so focusing on that makes you feel better. But I don't think it does any good for society. Um, Yeah, so in some cases, again, I don't know what all the rules are. Every country's different, but if you're traveling, whether it be for Freemasonry or anything else, you have a responsibility to know the rules and know what's required and not required. Um, Especially because one of the worst things that can happen to you is you show up in another country. Like, it's different traveling to the States, because when you're traveling to the States, you, like, very often you're checked before you arrive. Like, certainly in Canada, when I'm driving across or taking a bus across, you're not that far away. The worst thing, though, is you take like a 10, 12-hour flight, end up in a new country, and you find out you haven't taken the proper steps, and now you're kind of stuck in customs until they can board you on a flight back home. Um, was there a human skull involved? I mean, well, it's HIPAA, it's different things. I mean, I think, to my knowledge, medical information, the extent to which it's private or not, is up to each individual who is the owner of that, like who's about that medical information. So for me personally, I can tell you if I've been vaccinated or not vaccinated, but I cannot be compelled to tell you if I've been vaccinated or not. And when I was crossing the border, no one said you have to show me your vaccination status. What they told me is, if you want to enter this country, you need to show me your vaccination status, which I think is personally completely reasonable. I could have said no, I won't do it, and then I just don't get to enter the States, right? But that's why I always say one thing in Freemasonry I'm a big believer in is we should ask people and get medical information about them before they join. Because, for example, if they have trouble, let's say, sitting for long periods of time, if we know that, and we know we're going to have a very long business meeting, we can tell them, hey, this is going to be a longer meeting. I know you have trouble sitting for a long period of time. So please, if you need to get up, stretch, walk around, maybe schedule some breaks in to make him feel better. No, Light, we did not. Robert, I agree with you on that one. Canker, my suspicion is you feel like you need to be a hero, but I think you're just a selfish dude who got scared of taking a vaccine and chose not to. But I think in your mind, the way that you justify it is by imagining you're some type of hero who was fighting the forces of government overreach and a new world order, and it's going to turn you, trans or whatever it is, whatever you believe about the vaccines. But c'est la vie, right? There are many Masons who did not get vaccinated. There are many Masons who don't believe in vaccinations, and there are many who do. At the end of the day, what matters is the rules and regulations of the place in which you're meeting, combined with the rules and the regulations of the lodge and the Grand Lodge itself, right? So I guess Cankersore, you and I just disagree. I just think you're selfish. I think you are a selfish dude who got afraid of a vaccine and didn't want to get vaccinated. You think I was acting out of fear and I'm some type of sheep, and so be it. I just don't think we're ever going to see eye to eye, Canker, right? And c'est la vie, right? I don't think there's much common ground. I suspect that's true of our worldviews in general, right? I just suspect that you and I are never going to see eye to eye. But I just don't think you're a good person. Especially because you're still talking about it at this point, right? It kind of just is what it is. I don't know what Lucifer. Do the Masons have a position? You can be gay or straight. It does not make a difference, right? I've sat in lodge with gay Masons and straight Masons. I don't know. I don't know you all of the Lights. So maybe you are, maybe you're not. I mean, it's one of many factors, right? Ultimately, people made their decisions, and so be it. Again, I know many Masons who chose not to get vaccinated. I know many people who chose not to get vaccinated. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like I said, to me, it seems like a very selfish decision, but it is what it is. And ultimately, I don't know what Luciferese means. Ultimately, there is, at a certain point, you just have to say, c'est la vie, right? I don't think Canker's ever going to change his mind. He's never going to get me to change my mind. I don't know what it means by experimental. Every vaccine is experimental when it starts. Insulin was experimental when it started, right? It's the nature of medicine. So, one of my favorite quotes about medicine is, if you want to know what a medicine will be like 20 years from now, then wait 20 years for the effects, right? You make your best judgments and you make your best decisions based on the information you have, and you go from there. Well, I don't know if you're left wing or right wing. I mean, I believe in vaccines. I get vaccinations. I think getting vaccinations is an important thing that we all should be doing for a variety of reasons, but primarily to help those around us. And also, it makes us less likely to get ill, which means we're less likely to use up hospital resources, right? We are all responsible to one another, and we are all responsible for one another. And if I choose to take an action or take a step, and the consequence of that is I get ill, I get sick, and I'm no longer able to, and I have to go to the hospital, now I'm taking up resources that could have otherwise gone to people who, through no fault of their own and no choice of their own, ended up in the hospital. I think that that is kind of the point of all this, right? That's why I say I view it as a selfish decision, because you're taking a risk that you're going to get sick and end up in the hospital for something that could have been avoided. Well, Ronnie, see, I'm not a fan of that attitude at all. I think that's very bad. Because even if you have insurance, every time, every hour a doctor spends with you is an hour that a doctor cannot spend with somebody else. Every pair of gloves that a doctor uses while treating you, every drop of medication, every piece of medical equipment, every room, every space, every bed, that is something that does not go to somebody else who could need it. And all it does is clog up the system. Even if you can pay for it, that doesn't mean that the system has unlimited resources. We live in a society of limited resources. We don't have everything we need. And as a consequence of that, I think it's incumbent upon us as members of the community to do what we can to limit the likelihood we'll be in the hospital. I belong to Canker as much as Canker belongs to me, and I have a responsibility to him to not use up resources in his community if I can help it. So I break and waste. Well, don't be breaking things and don't be wasting things. Being wasteful is never good. Canker, I just think you're kind of a bad dude. And you disagree with that, obviously. I'm sure you do, and that's perfectly fine. I think you are what you are. You're not going to convince me, so what are you still doing here? What is the purpose of your being here, aside from, if you really feel this way, why not just start your own channel? And you can tell all the people what you think, which is perfectly fine, right? I don't know why you still have to be here. All right, we're just going to put this guy in a timeout. Actually, we're going to hide this guy. He can go on his own channel. He can talk whatever he wants. George Bush, thank you for being here. I know of Baal, sure. Ken Neston. I didn't know of Baal till I started this channel, and then everybody told me that I was worshiping a demon. So there you go. Freemasonry has nothing to do with Baal. Yeah, and that's kind of always my point, Yo Maple. Thank you for the sparkles as well. Which is, people very often, look, if you have a view, it could be anything. It could be that you're anti-Freemasonry. It could be that you're, thank you again, George. It could be that you're, I don't know. It could be that you're anti-vaccine. It could be that you're, I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever view you have, by all means, start your own channel and say your piece, and maybe you'll do better than me, and more power to you. I think, unfortunately, certain viewpoints will always end up being better, right? Like saying, for example, conspiracy theories are always going to be more popular than, quote unquote, the boring truth. That just kind of is what it is. And it's unfortunate because it makes it very hard. It's kind of like somebody selling a drug versus somebody selling broccoli. The person selling the drug is always going to have a certain benefit because drugs are going to be more popular than broccoli. But we still have just to do our best and fight as best as we can to focus on what we know the truth to be, what we know the responsible choices to be. Thank you for the sparkles once again, George. I mean, in theory, sure, Stephanie. Not, I mean, if he lied about it, didn't tell us he was a drug dealer and we didn't know about it, then, he made it through. Every dog has his day. If he, if we found out he was dealing drugs or knew he was dealing drugs, then, no. Because that would be current. Now, if he, was dealing drugs, thank you again. Um, well, George, every time you send something, I'll say thank you. If he, you know, was a drug dealer in the past, and then unfortunately, fortunately stopped, changed his opinion, changed his life, started doing more things positively, maybe went to jail, whatever it might be, went to counseling, then I think it's okay as well. Like, I would have no problem with someone who was a drug dealer but turned their life around and made positive choices and positive decisions, joining Freemasonry. Because people can change. George Bush, thank you again. Red is totally my color, BD. I look awesome. I don't know what you're talking about, but I look awesome. I don't smoke anything, Kane. Somebody once above asked me if I'm healthy. I'd like to think right now I am. The reason I'd like to think I am healthy at the moment is because I'm looking at being a living kidney donor. And because I'm looking at being a living kidney donor, it's very important that I maintain my health. And so far, all the tests are coming back positive. Pedro, well, thank you. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd be much obliged. Stephanie, I mean, same thing. In the past, if they were, and then, they've changed, then no problem at all. No judgment, by the way, for people who engage in that kind of work. I mean, I don't know. I would have no issue with it. If they were on OF or something, I don't know. But I would say, depending on what type of life they're leading, there may be some problems. I don't smoke cane, so... George, I'm not dancing. No one wants to see me dance. And every dollar that you send to me, I would lose 8 viewers, which is all I have right now, because dancing makes me look so ugly. So believe me, no one wants to see that. George, you're going to find yourself in timeout in a second. You're getting kind of weirdly provocative. Yeah, I mean, this idea of doing your own research. When you say don't let them take your organs, Ben, I'm already in a wheelchair. It's true, I am in a wheelchair. I actually wrote about this, Ben. I would suggest you check out what I wrote about the organ donation process. So why don't you think I should be a living kidney donor, Ben? What is your thinking behind that? Because my suspicion is it's a misunderstanding about what what the organ donation process is. Say sorry and I'll give you a nickel. What am I saying sorry for? No. By the way, do you have any questions about Freemasonry? George Bush 640. Truck driver Masons? What's a truck driver Mason? I never heard that before. Like, we have Masons who drive trucks. Sure, we have Masons who are in all different sorts of professions. Well, so, in terms of, I mean, I don't think there are that many donors out there right now. Like, how many people have actually donated their kidneys? How many living kidney donors are there? Jack White is not a Mason, but he does support the Detroit Masonic Temple because they gave his mom a job. And it was where he used to perform. More than 6,000 people become living kidney donors each year. Well, 400 people donate in Canada. So 400 out of 32 million. I mean, the same thing that occupies your time, working, emailing, this podcast, and Freemasonry primarily. Right, which is something I love to do. Mac DeMarco is a Freemason. Who is Mac DeMarco? I'm not sure who that is. Is he a musician? There's been a few musicians. I think you do, Canesta, if you donate your kidney, but they've gone really careful with me. Mark. How do you spell that? Mac DeMarco. There's a few famous Freemason musicians. I mean, Brad Paisley is the most famous, probably. I keep hoping he'll join, or not join, but he'll come to the Masonic Lodge one day in Windsor when he performs at the Coliseum. Born 1990. He wrote Freemason's Prayer from Yin Yang in 2010. So that's cool. I think I've actually heard that song once before. I'll have to check it out, see if I can find it. Yes, we do, Dalton, have Prince Hall Freemasons in Canada. There's actually a lodge, if I recall correctly, in Harrow and throughout Ontario. If I recall correctly, the first province that Prince Hall Freemasonry came to in Canada from the States was Ontario, which is a cool little note. What's my middle name? Why do you want to know, George? I mean, he actually wrote a song called Freemason's Prayer, so I'll have to check him out. Maybe I'll get him on my podcast at some point. I wonder how many people he has on Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is blowing up, so I have no legs, so I'm not that tall, George. Let's see. So Mark DeMarco, apparently he's not on Instagram. Good for him. I can respect that. Social media is so ubiquitous nowadays. Can you get over hitting the like and subscribe button? I can't tell, George Bush, if you're trying to like troll me to get information about my passwords at this point. I graduated law school. I am not a veteran. I was born missing my legs. A lot of people think because I'm missing my legs that I'm a veteran. I get that assumption sometimes. I'm not. Nothing but respect for veterans, though. Some of the toughest people in the world. But I am not a veteran. Well, I mean, I'm more concerned about your discharges at the moment, Venereal. So maybe you should focus on that. Well, thank you for loving my videos. I hope you're not just loving them. I hope you like them. Yeah, I figured. There you go, George Bush. Well, you don't know my middle name, and I did graduate law school. I wish you best of luck in the rest of it. I do decorate for Halloween. I love Halloween. I don't deny nor confirm they're experimental. What I say is I don't care. I think getting vaccinated is a responsible thing to do, whether it be for COVID or anything else. And I think I, as a Freemason, view one of my Masonic responsibilities to get vaccinated. Third-party experts. In the same way, I have responsibility to, for example, not just put any type of fuel in my car, but trust the experts when they pick the type of fuel for me. Or whatever else it may be. I also think I have a responsibility to comply with whatever rules are in a particular state, country, or city. So if America needs me to travel to America to vaccinate, or need me to be vaccinated to travel to America, then that's what I'm going to do. And I do believe getting vaccinated, whether it be for COVID or anything else, is the Masonic thing to do. Um, well, Venereal, I think that you might just be going through troubles in your life, and you might find this type of psychological us against them, the experts against the common man, a comforting as you're struggling in life. Um, oh, for God's sakes. Rules suck. Mr. Tyler, you're not always wrong. I mean, there are very many times I don't understand why rules exist, and I find them very strange. My general philosophy is, look, there are, it's funny, one of the jobs I once had back in the day, hello from Indonesia, when I worked at the jail, actually, my boss told me, she said, you don't ever break any rules, but she said you will always bend them, which I always thought was really fascinating. I have no issue with people bending rules. I'm actually fine with that. And if you can find a way to bend a rule in your favor, it's ultimately the fault of the people who wrote the rule to leave it open in such a way to bend. And with Freemasonry, I'm no different with that. When I look at my Masonic constitution and laws and bylaws, I will always try to think, okay, what is the purpose behind this rule? And how can I interpret it in such a way that, like, I can achieve whatever goal and desire I have for Freemasonry, for myself, whatever it might be. Having said that, I always put vaccinations and things of that nature in a slightly different category. What's the hardest law to follow? I don't think there is a hard law to follow. I think the hardest thing to do is look in the mirror and know you did your best every day. If you can do that, that's what matters. It's not even loopholes. It's just, I guess it is a loophole in a sense. They got good wheelchair access in Bali. I don't know. I've never been to Bali, but I'd love to get there at some point. I think it'd be really, really cool to visit Bali. Never, trying to think even where Bali is. I mean, I've been to South Africa. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Colombia. I've been all around the world. I've been grateful. Sadly, never Bali. Okay, I don't even know if there's any Masonic lodges in Bali, but I believe there is, if I recall correctly. All right, Mr. Redacted. I don't understand people. Yeah, I guess that's my question, Pac, for Bali. Is there decent wheelchair access in Bali? Um, like, what would you say the accessibility is like? Even in Canada, it's not perfect. I don't think any place has ever got perfect accessibility, but we're just going to give it a bit more time. Wait to see who wants to jump on and say hello. No specific talking point or topics for this one. We're just hanging out, talking about whatever. Pac, by the way, Pac, please hit like and subscribe. Have you ever visited any Masonic lodges in Bali? Or are there any there? I'm going to see if I can figure out even where it is. So it's an Indonesian island. There are no active or recognized regular Masonic lodges in Bali or Indonesia today. I thought there was in Indonesia. There is Freemasonry in Indonesia. So it was banned in 1961 and 1962. I think there are lodges there because it was revoked in 2000. I should look into it. It would be kind of cool. What would you say, if somebody's visiting Bali, what would you say is the most important thing you should see? I don't know what you're talking about, hypnoseeks. I've never heard Prince Hall is known as Children of Man. I don't know what that means. It's nothing I've ever heard. I'm guessing getting there, though, is not so cheap. My suspicion is getting to Bali is probably very expensive. That's true for a lot of places. I mean, I've visited a few places where you're not allowed to drink the water, so we're not stealing the Declaration of Independence. Um, I'm kind of curious. I'm going to look this up. Cheap flights, Toronto to Bali. Let's see. Um, Actually, not as crazy as I would have thought. In September, it's about it's $1,700 using Cathay Pacific. Unfortunately, because there's no Freemasonry there, it'd be hard to justify me going because everything I travel nowadays is for this lodge. You go to Hong Kong from Toronto, and then you go from looks like Hong Kong to Bali with a 14-hour layover, which I like. I hate short layovers. Um, that is true, but then I'd have to go for personal reasons, not for my professional reasons, which is why I currently go travel. Basically, anytime I'm traveling, it's for some type of professional purpose, a conference, a visitation, networking, meeting people, things like that. I can imagine. I'm sure the food is. What's your favorite type of Indonesian or Bali food? And by the way, what I'd love to see us do more of is in Freemason. One thing I always suggest is if we have like a potluck, and if we have any, let's say, brethren who are Indonesian, make sure that they, one day they bring in food from Indonesia, I'd bring in foods from England, etc., etc. I think that'd be really, really fun. Go establish a lodge? Yes, I will be the first. I will totally be the first to establish a lodge. Oh, not the first. There's already been Masons there, but I will be the first to reestablish active Freemasonry there. I think there are lodges there. They might just not be recognized at this point. Um, I mean, there's not, you have to know the rules to break the rules, right? That's one of the most important thing. You have to know the rules to uh, find the loopholes. So why do you think Freemasonry is a cult, Flory? Um, Thank you, Yo Maple. I mean, Rondo, you can be the first member if you would so like. Um, you can be my junior warden or senior warden if you prefer. Well, so I mean, Freemasonry is not a belief system, right? So agnosticism is, I guess, a belief system, or maybe you could define it as like a lack of a belief system, I suppose. Um, in some ways, um, like I don't know how you define agnosticism. I guess agnosticism is a belief system in that it's the belief that you do not have enough information to know whether there is a supreme being or not. To be a Freemason is not a belief system, but you do need to have a belief in a supreme being of any sort. If you're agnostic, I think depending how you were to define it and what you were to say precisely, you could probably join and be a Freemason. Can I be the outside guard? Sure, Mr. Palad, but then you gotta come with me to Bali. There's no 1081 degree Mason. Uh, but you can be the first. If I'm gonna start my own lodge in Bali, then yeah, we're gonna have to do things a little bit differently. So definitely, I will, create different degrees and stuff. We'll do it different, you know? Now we got a Space Marine Guard. There's a lot of things happening here. Well, I think an agnostic, it's not that they believe or don't believe, it's that they don't know, right? Someone was told me agnostics are just atheists without the panache, but so it gets a little bit more complicated than that. Ugh, I gotta fix this again. I'll be back in a moment. This is driving me crazy. Mort, sometimes do it live. Give me 1 second, Mort. I'll be back in a moment. My stupid AC, the pipe keeps coming off. Drives me crazy. So, yeah, Mort, there are many times where people will, you don't even have to be a mason, but like contractors or janitors, custodians, people of different professions and different backgrounds will take jobs as repairmen, as security guards, as janitors, as cleaners in Masonic buildings. It just depends on um, it just depends on the lodge. First of all, it depends on if the building itself has the finances to support hiring someone to be a cleaner or whatever it might be. So that's one issue you need to keep in mind. And also, it depends on if you're qualified. So it's one of those things where there are times where they'll definitely do it, though, right? So you can look into it. Um, but they probably wouldn't take you on as an employee. They'd probably take you on as an independent contractor, meaning you would charge them a set fee to do whatever work it is that needs to be done. There's tax implications with all the rest of it, but oh, many Masonic buildings have beautiful artwork. I wish they, had more artwork very often. I don't, sometimes they don't have enough. One of the things I've suggested in the past, Yo Maple, is, if you're a Masonic building and you happen to have you're a Masonic building and you happen to have a free wall space or free shelf space that's not being used for anything, why not consider offering it to your local artists to display their work for your brethren and any public that use your building? It'd be really, really cool. It's a little thing, but it would make it gives people a better view, a better impression of the lodge, of the building, and of Freemasonry. It makes Freemasonry more relevant to the communities in which it's located. So that is my suggestion of all the stuff that you can do. Stunt? I mean, Alex Pereira is a very handsome fella, so I will accept it. Um, because I don't want to say anything negative about him because he would, destroy me. He would eat my lunch. No, Freemasonry is not Kabbalah for anybody. Freemasonry is a social club, and it's a continuation of stonemasonry in a social setting. It is also not Apollo worship. Freemasonry is not a religion. It does, Ben. You're not wrong. It does have connections to Judaism. It also has connections to Egyptian mysticism, Chinese mythology, the Muslim faith, the Christian faith, Stoic philosophy, architecture, unions and trade guilds. Primarily, though, its main connection is with stonemasonry and stone Masonic guilds. We do very often, yeah. That's one of the things I love about it most, is all of the positive things that it does in the community. Who is the great painter? I'm not sure what you're talking about. It is, Pastor. I mean, I don't know about the term mysticism, if you would use that, but it has Jewish kind of origins to my knowledge. As, again, somebody who, I'm not going to pretend I know a lot about it. But there are parallels. That's not a bad idea, Rondo. I mean, are you talking about at buildings? Yeah, I mean, there are some artists that right now are displaying their work at the Windsor Masonic Temple. I think it's really, really cool that they do that. When you say not informed, I've been a Mason for 20 years. I don't know everything about Freemasonry, but I know the basic historical roots of it. I know the Anderson Constitutions, the Regius Poem, the Cook Manuscript, and I know the general history. Well, there are parallels between Kabbalah and Freemasonry. Primarily, the parallel you see is the emphasis placed on King Solomon's temple, at least in my experience. Yo Maple. I mean, yeah, a lot of like craftsmen or journeymen, they join Freemasonry because they love our Masonic buildings so much. Well, the thing to keep in mind about Manly P. Hall, Luke, you need to be really careful about him because he wrote his Secret Teachings of All Ages about 30 or 40 years before he became a Freemason in California. So you need to be really wary of how much you take him into account. I've not read Secret Teachings of All Ages, but you need to be really careful about him and whether you take it with a grain of salt. So I don't know who Blavatsky is. Crowley was more than likely a clandestine Mason. All the evidence I've seen of him says he was clandestine, as opposed to, because I think he joined the Grand Orient. And also, if I recall correctly, he said he joined a lodge in Mexico, but I don't think anybody ever confirmed it. So I'm not so sure about that. Are you talking about Jack Parsons when you say Parsons? Because I'm not aware of any Mason named Parsons. There was a Jack Parsons was a member of OTO, right? Order, Order Templo Orientis or something. That's not a Masonic order. Well, I mean, the term Madame right there makes me think she probably was not doing any Masonic lodges. Freemasons did not start the space program, but Freemasons were involved in the space program. Buzz Aldrin, famously, the second person to ever walk on the moon, was a Freemason. I'm sure I do, Mr. Peaceful, but not off the top of my head. I don't ask people what their diabetic status is, but I'm sure I do. Lauren, it depends on the lodge. In my experience, generally Masons meet once to twice a month. And some lodges, like mine, take breaks in the summer. I mean, Mr. Peaceful, that sucks. I mean, I don't care what it is. Having any type of chronic condition sucks. But I hope you're taking your medication. I hope that you are doing well. And I always recommend to our Masonic junior wardens, make sure that, well, I think OTO, it used to be, if you want to join OTO, you had to be a Mason, if I recall correctly. I have to double check and look into it. Um, but that doesn't mean that it was recognized by us. It's just a rule that they set up for themselves. But I think as of now and for the last fairly long time, OTO will accept anybody, Mason or not. Um, it sucks a lot. I have a insulin pump. I always tell, and remind junior wardens, pay attention to dietary restrictions of our brothers. If you have brethren who have type 1 diabetes or type 2 or whatever it is, maybe don't be serving food with lots of sugar. Um, who knows, Biff? I don't know a ton about Crowley, but to my understanding, most view him as being clandestine. I ask you to please try herbal. Whoa, Ben, we're not going to be giving medical advice. I mean, I will give medical advice, I guess, and tell people to get vaccinated, exercise, take care of themselves. I think there's nothing wrong with adding a herbal and holistic kind of perspective to your repertoire, but I definitely would say do not stop listening to your doctors. That could be very dangerous. I know it looked like a hippo. I've grown to accept it. Crowley also worked with government, um, intelligence agencies like Michigan, whatever it was at MI, and even the U.S. government. I would highly question that, Dragon. I don't know. That doesn't sound likely to me, but I could be wrong. It just seems like he was too much of a loose cannon and kind of a crazy person. Um, but he traveled around a lot. I will say that he traveled all the time, so anything is possible. So, having the skill and the ability to build is something you should be incredibly proud of. I think that's awesome. More power to you. You don't have to have the literal skill of being able to build things to be a Freemason. We are metaphorical builders, right? Not literal builders. We're metaphorical. However, certainly I think if you join Freemasonry and if you have the ability to build things, you're a carpenter, you're an actual stonemason, you're whatever, it is 1,000,000% possible, right, that you can, benefit the lodge. You can help with repairs, help fix things, help repair floors or walls. It's good to have people bring their knowledge and their skills and their ability to the lodge. I think that's really special. So the insurance thing sucks, Nick. Like, I know here in Ontario, I was annoyed because my hepatitis A and B vaccines um, were not covered by OHIP, which was a pain to have to pay for. Eventually, I got them back through my taxes and medical expenses, but still, I was not happy about that. So I know it sucks. What I would say is obviously financial stuff matters. Talk to your doctor and just do the best you can. It's really the best advice I can give you. Um, Well, I mean, yeah, it'd be. My suspicion is again every lodge because the Masons don't hire you, but every lodge is different. But certainly some lodges do have, and they hire janitors or buildings really hire janitors and custodians. I think in general they are more often than not independent contractors, but there can be a difference, right? Like I do know some bigger buildings, like for example, the Jefferson, like sorry, Detroit Masonic Temple, the biggest Masonic temple in the world. Their custodial staff is on staff, like they're actually employees of the temple. So it just depends. Mike, I already look amazing. Um, I will say Freemasonry can help with people struggling with different mental health issues, dementia, age-related things. Well, yeah, that's the other issue, right? I mean, as somebody who works for myself, who's a sole proprietor, it is really, really tough. So, Pastor, I've done all the testing. Right now, we're just waiting on the other side and the recipient to see what's going on. So, I pretty much done all I can possibly do. I've pretty much done all I can possibly do. And now we're just going to wait and see. As soon as I know, though, believe me, you guys will know. Really, Biff? I had no idea. That's really interesting. I will look into that some more. Every lodge does, Robert. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems we have right now, right? Is Masonic buildings, which is where the lodges meet, very often struggle with like they're older buildings. A lot of them are built in the 1920s. The older the building, the more repairs you need, the more whatever it is you need, right? And so, yeah, nothing but I would agree with that 100%. I think one of the biggest challenges we have right now is finding people to do work on our buildings. Both actually literally finding people to do work on our buildings, obviously, but also the physical, like the cost associated with it, both the people and the cost. That's really, really tough. The builders are Old Testament. We have Old Testament. I don't know what that means precisely when you say Old Testament. Do you mean Old Testament as in, um, yeah, I don't quite know what that means. We have, when I think Old Testament, I think Judaism, and when I think New Testament, I think Christianity. Whatever you believe in terms of being, if you can tighten a screw and fix a floor, I'm sure the Masonic building could use your help. That is another issue, Nick. Unfortunately, as our Masonic Lodge buildings get older, as our Masonic membership gets older, we don't have younger people joining. One of the major issues we end up with very often is, unfortunately, they can't do the work they used to. Never mind just showing up to lodge meetings. They struggle with things like, bending over, getting up, doing manual labor. They may have spent 30, 40, 50 years as a contractor. But once you get to a certain point and a certain age, it gets a lot harder. Lost, not last. Who's lost? Who's not last? Oh. Oh, you do. I mean, a really good example of that is a good friend of mine. He's been on the podcast before. Jerry Carlton. He is a Mason out of he's a Mason out of Glenview, Illinois. He's a really cool dude. I like him a lot. He spent pretty much his whole life, professional life, as a contractor and as a restorer. And he did a ton of restoration work in Masonic buildings, including in Glenview. And really a beautiful job, especially all of that, like the custom trim and the plaster work. Um, I've said it before, one of my favorite places ever is, in the world is the Glenview Masonic Temple. And the restoration work he did therein was incredible as well. So, nice. Good for you when you say you found out you were a. I mean, I'm not. I have no skills when it comes to that stuff. I don't care whether it comes to, or when it comes to um, plaster work or anything else. Believe me, nobody wants to see me do manual labor. I can barely fix my wheelchair, and I use it for my day-to-day travels, so it'd be terrible. Um, we all have different skills. My skill, I think, depending on who you ask, is talking. I remember when I went to high school, one of the things that I remember I was told, because I kept on breaking these machines. So I was in shops class, and I was constantly breaking the shop machines. It was a metalworkers class. And eventually my teacher came up to me and said, I'll give you a C plus or whatever it is, because you're trying, but you're not very good at this stuff, but you do like to talk. You should probably get into a profession that involves talking. And he was right. I'm a much better talker than I am at anything else. Um, no, tribal reservations are not Masonic. I don't know what you mean by that, Boogie. I've never heard that expression before. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Okay, I mean, that's an interesting connection. Again, I know very little about L. Ron Hubbard, really nothing, to be perfectly frank. And I don't know a ton about Crowley as well. So it's tough for me to kind of say. I would say, look, I think you believe what you're going to believe. It's perfectly fine with me. It's not my place to say, if you are a. There it is. I'll be back in just 1 second. As I gotta move this stuff out of the way. If you are a Scientologist, then I think more power to you. I gotta fold my laundry at some point over here. All right, I think that's cool. I think one of the dangers, though, that we have right now, unfortunately, is, I'm just going to move this out of the way, is that people are not dangerous, but one of the misconceptions about Freemasonry is that people think that Scientology is Freemasonry, or Freemasonry is Scientology. They're not. They're different organizations. They occupy different spaces. One occupies a civic space, the other occupies a civil space. One occupies a civic space, the other occupies a religious space, which are different. Oh yeah, Yo Maple, like, one thing I brought up a lot on this channel and on this stream, a lot of people have said, Freemasonry is for the elites. That's another conspiracy theory that's full of nonsense. And when they say that, I think very often what they mean by that is they think Freemasonry is just for lawyers, doctors, people who are rich and famous and powerful and blah, blah, blah. One of the things I always point out, and still like to point out, is If you want to be an elite in 2026, in 2027, in 2028, become a plumber. Like I'm being literal. Become a plumber. Become a doctor. Become a plumber. Become a electrician. Become a carpenter. Become a whatever. You are going to be, um, ultimately, you are going to end up probably making a lot more money than you would in these traditional elite jobs, quote unquote. Dragon Slayer, yes, unfortunately, people do think that they are the same, which is unfortunate, that people, do believe it, but some do. There are a lot of nonsense. There is a lot of nonsense about Freemasonry out there in the world. It just kind of is what it is. Um, all I can do is my best to demonstrate the truth about it. Oh yeah, Yo Maple. Like, in my opinion, there's almost no question that, again, like I said, the elites of 2025, 2026, 2020, whatever, are going to be restorers, carpenters, electricians, doctors. Even doctors, in a sense, is kind of a more blue collar job than people realize. Um, Freemasonry is not run by demonic forces. Freemasonry is not run by anything other than our grand lodges and our bylaws and constitutions. Why do you think, Dolly, that Freemasons are run by demonic forces? I mean, Dragon Slayer, it can happen because it's human nature, right? Unfortunately, for cliques to form between groups of people. We never really grow out of high school as much as we like to think we do. Um, but I would say that, generally speaking, that can be usually not a good thing in the long run if the cliques get too strong. You kind of need people willing to work, to be friends with everybody, or at least spend time with everybody. But I don't think I mean, it's just nature of the beast, right? Especially if, let's say, because it can happen, like you work in an automotive factory and you tell all your friends, hey, at the automotive factory, I'm a Freemason. And then next thing you know, all these people join from your automotive factory. It's very easy for them to naturally form a clique because they all work in the same place. So they all have already kind of an understanding and a basic language they all work together with. Um, and so you do tend to see that sometimes, right? That is a very common thing that you see. And I don't think it's inherently a bad thing, right? If it's controlled and if it's limited, because it's always going to be our nature within any larger group to find people we share commonality with and then focus on that. So if I'm part of a lodge and I'm from the Philippines and there's other people there also from the Philippines, of course I'm going to gravitate towards them. Or Brazil or South America. Or if I'm a musician and there's another musician in the lodge or whatever it is, we all work in the same place. I will naturally gravitate and probably spend more time with them. And that's healthy. What becomes unhealthy is when those cliques start to kind of politic around, we want the lodge to be a certain way, so we're going to all gather and kind of vote in the same way or act in the same way to try to promote this idea of all of us being the lodge going a certain direction. That creates resentments. I hope that made sense. Um, oh, I don't know. I mean, stonemasons do it based on practice, based on hard work, and based on skill. Practice, hard work, and skill, to their credit, right? Um, that's true for everything in life. The more credit you have, the more work, dedication, and time you put into things, the better you will be. whether it be a stonemason or Freemason, Imprim, I do this. I do this for a living. So help me out by doing a super chat, hitting like, and hitting subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Become a Patreon. Follow me on Medium. Follow me on uh, Patreon, Medium, Facebook, X, etc. And more important than that, Gabe, I like people who would like and subscribe. Dragon Slayer, catch you later. Thank you for being here. I'm just hanging out. No specific topics for the day. Just going to wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, and hit that subscribe button. Yo, Maple, yes, be well, Dragon Slayer. Don't forget to mark your calendar, August 21st to August 22nd. We are going to be, amongst other things, we are going to be holding a 24-hour stream celebrating, amongst other things, the Masonic Medical Research Institute, a crown jewel within Freemasonry and a crown jewel within our Masonic family. I don't think they're boring. I mean, boring people get bored, is my response to that, right? Boring people get bored. It depends what you're looking for in them and what you can find within them. What should I get for dinner, Cam? Give me a suggestion. Something healthy. Let me see what I can think of. What do you like, Mr. Tyler? Seafood. I feel like seafood is usually pretty good for you and healthy. So that's what I'm going to go with, so long as you don't have any allergies, obviously. Stir fry, says Yo Maple. That'll work too. Quaker Gang, welcome back. Thank you for being here. It's been a while since I've seen you, I think, right? I hope you're doing well. Let me know how you're doing. Hit that like button. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. There you go. Fish and chips. You can't go wrong. Classic staple, right? I don't think I've ever had a Long John Silver's, which is very sad because I love all things, like, I love seafood. So I would appreciate a Long John Silver's more than anybody else, and yet I don't think I've ever had them. What's your go-to Long John Silver's? You know, the thing about Freemasonry and the food after lodge, seafood is really expensive, and it's really hard to, like, get a decent amount of, like, seafood for meetings. I think it's probably, even though it's my favorite, the rarest type of food to have after lodge is seafood. But I'd love to see more oysters and more shellfish and all the rest of it. I just think there's dangers of getting a bad oyster. As someone who once had a bad oyster and had a lot of food poisoning from it, I know the risks, believe me. Oh, battered herring, that does sound really good. You know what? If I can ever find some Long John Silver's, I am totally going to find it, and I'm totally going to have Shrimp and fries. Yeah, of course. Almonds, Brazil nuts. They're all really good. They're good for you too, as well, right? To my understanding and to my knowledge. They're really healthy. My favorite type of cookie is macadamia cookies, macadamia nut cookies. So there you go. Um, Really, that's interesting, Yo Maple, because to me, well, I used to have a really good recipe for toasted nuts where you'd add like olive oil and then cinnamon and sugar to get it to stick, or like different types of spices and stuff, and then you bake the nuts. It was really, really good. Um, I love crab. I love lobster. I love all this stuff. You guys are making me hungry. I didn't have enough for breakfast. Actually, one thing I've just been eating though, and enjoying, I've got my tin for my lunch, is sardines in tomato sauce. I can get it at the dollar store for super cheap, and it's really good. And it's got 6% iron, 27% calcium. I'm trying to have more iron in my diet just because with the potential organ donation, I feel like having enough iron in my blood is probably a good thing. So, well, that's what you should have, Mr. Tyler, for dinner. That sounds really, really good. Like I said, I was traveling in Puerto Vallarta and I had a bad oyster, and I got the worst food poisoning for like I mean, not to be gross. I was in the washroom for about 15 hours. I don't think I could like step away from it more than 2 seconds. It was a very interesting experience. That's a good reminder as well. When you're traveling, make sure you're safe and make sure you're paying attention to what you're eating. If you're traveling for a Masonic event, like nothing sucks more than you travel for this Masonic event and then suddenly like you know, you can't make it because you can't leave your washroom. I've had food poisoning twice, so um, well, they will cut me open, and they will remove an internal organ for someone else who needs it if this goes through. Um, I trust the doctors. I trust the staff to do what's best by me. So I can say no. I'm choosing not to. Well, I know that. So, like, I know people who donate blood regularly, and I do. And one thing they always check is your iron. And I know some of my friends, like a couple of times earlier, I actually was found, and just me speaking for myself, I was actually found to have iron that was a little bit too low to donate blood. So what I started doing is eating regularly tins of oysters or tins of mussels, which have a high, which have a very high uh, iron content. So as a consequence of that, um, I've never had an issue with iron since. I know some people can have the opposite and have too high iron, but so far, my iron's always been in the good range. So I don't know. For whatever it's worth, for me personally, tinned oysters and tinned mussels seem to work well. As always, once again, please take a moment. If you're new, hit like and subscribe. Freemason is a really cool history that connects to blood donations and organ donations, which might be kind of fun to talk about at some point because it's so interesting and so different. Um, oh, that does sound really good. I don't know if creatine is good for you or bad for you. I feel like it's good for you, right? It helps you recover. I mean, I'll just stick to regular. I don't drink a lot of milk anymore, to be honest. I used to love cereal. I still do, but cereal's just so expensive. I don't have it as much as I used to. But I always did enjoy cereal back in the day. Um, all this talk about food, right? One of the things I've always suggested and told people in the past, make sure that, like, if you are a junior warden, You're paying attention to these type of things, right? What type of food are you giving to people? Does it take into account dietary restrictions, vegetarianism, veganism, religious exemptions? Does it take into account potential allergies or allergens? Does it take into account cost and budgets? There's a lot that you have to think about. So it's really tough. Um, I have no idea. I don't know what creatine is. I love tartar dip. Tartar. Actually, no. Sorry. I like beef tartar, raw beef. I think that's really good. I like tuna tartar. I don't like tartar sauce or tartar dip. I'm not a fan of that because it has too much of a mayonnaise base, and I don't like mayonnaise. Um, these are the natural sources of creatine. I think usually natural sources might be better, but it depends. Again, this is one of those things you talk to your doctor about, right? Um, and ask your doctor what the expectations are, what's healthy, what's not healthy. Andrew Huberman brought on a doctor talking about young blood. That seems terrible, Hennifer. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard of this before. Hennifer Lopez, please like and subscribe. That generally sounds like some type of apocalyptic science fiction movie. The idea of like cloning yourself for young blood. What does a clone think about this, by the way? I don't know if that's true or not, but let's not be doing that. That is my suggestion. Well, a lot of people add mustard and mayonnaise together. I love mustard, as you know. Don't like. I love mustard. Do not like mayonnaise. Ronnie, what are you talking about? Kraft mac and cheese is the easiest thing to make in the world. With extra grated cheese on it and pepper, that's what makes it work. You need the pepper and the cheese. Um, I support that, Mr. Tyler. Yes, mustard and turkey cheese sandwiches are very, very good. I make mac and cheese. I just follow the recipe, the steps on the box. Now, what I'll do is afterwards, I will grate extra cheese and add that to it, and I will on top of grating the extra cheese, I'll add lots of pepper, and sometimes I'll add hot sauce directly to the the mix before I put it on the plate. Speaking of food, right now I have to go to the washroom, but I'll be back in a second, I promise. I trust Yo Maple to hold down the fort. No one cause any trouble, please. You add basil, rosemary, thyme, and cilantro to your mac and cheese? I've never heard of that before, but I'll try it. And I'm back. I met the doctors who. That is really cool. Were they Masons? Was it in a Masonic scenario of any sort? How did you come across meeting them? Because that is really cool. That is true. Nothing, as Yo Maple said, nothing. There is no law that says you have to. Um, you have to follow the box ingredients, but I would say proceed with caution. Um, Mac and cheese is a staple for a reason, I would think. But yeah, Robert, how was that experience? That sounds really cool. And to everybody who has joined us, thank you for being here. Please take a moment, as always, to hit like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. Added herb. So, what's the favorite herb to add to mac and cheese? We're just hanging out, chatting, talking about whatever. So, any thoughts you have, anything you want to share, let me know. Time and Parsi. It was interesting. The young man who was cured is devoting his life. Good. I mean, it's awesome to see. Um, it's awesome to see people. If you're lucky enough to, I feel like if you are unfortunate enough to suffer from a disease, but then it's able to be cured, and you're lucky enough, or blessed enough, or through the hard work and dedication of others, pick your term, you're able to be cured. Like, I'm sure that really does encourage you to look at life as a gift and maybe be more grateful to be there, because you're at risk of losing it. If you never feel you're at risk of losing something, maybe you don't appreciate it as much. Whether that be life or whether that be anything else. At least that is my suspicion. Does no one else, though, add cheese? That's the most important thing. You got to be adding your cheese to this stuff. I would say when, taking this to Masonic, um, when it comes to Freemasonry, what I would say is I would describe mac and cheese as like uh, a medium Masonic food. What I mean by that is, normally the best type of food to have in a Masonic lodge is something that is relatively inexpensive, which I think mac and cheese is, although cheese can be expensive. You can kind of create a large batch of it, and then you can serve it in like a crock pot or whatever it might be. So like soups, stews, those are like the most common, followed by casseroles, and then I would say mac and cheese as a type of casserole. Tuna casserole as well is very popular. Mr. Tyler, sometimes people like to just do horrible things. I don't know why, or make dumb comments. Believe me, you're going to get used to, you unfortunately get used to this whole thing of being on YouTube. It's the price you pay for playing baseball, as they say, right? Also, the term lot lizard is quite concerning as well. Oh, there's been a bunch of them. Unfortunately, I think we're all getting used to some of these, shall we say, interesting terms. Well, I'm glad that you reported it. That's a good thing to do. That's probably the smart thing to do, and the safe thing to do, in fairness. But yeah, I mean, it's just people are what they are. There's a reason YouTube has the automatic block feature. Um, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You just kind of got to get used to it. If you want to be on YouTube, you got to deal with some interesting characters, some interesting people, um, for better or for worse. In this case, obviously for worse, but hey, what are you going to do? What I'm going to do is is ask everybody once more to hit like and subscribe, and also ask everybody to please mark on your calendars, um, August 21st, starting 2 p.m. Eastern. Normally we start 1. This time we're starting 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing a 24-hour celebration of, amongst other things, the Masonic Medical Research Institute. So please make sure you guys check that out. And yeah, thank you all for hanging out. I was enjoying being here. Because I'm going to have to organize my trip very soon to Chicago, as voted on by my Patreon members and my YouTube members. Don't really have any subjects for today. I just figured I'd come and hang out and chat. Although I did really enjoy yesterday talking about the Rosetta Stone. Where is the... Yes, there we go. We had a real Freddy Krueger. I suspect the FBI will not investigate him. I suspect the FBI just won't care. Especially because, I'm sure they're used to people saying all sorts of nonsense on social media. But it's still good. Better safe than sorry. And we're just going to keep hanging out and chatting. I mean, people are trolls. They like to do this type of stuff. You get used to it over time. Honestly, I've got crazier comments on streams. Uh, it just kind of is what it is. People are bored. People don't have a lot of things in their life that they enjoy doing right now, or that they feel good doing or comfortable doing, such as, if you don't have something like masonry in your life, let's say, then what that means very often is, why not go on YouTube and say a bunch of nonsense and cause a bunch of trouble for everybody else? With the other guy's reference, Mr. Yates, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit like and subscribe. I like The Other Guys. It's a very funny movie. One thing I used to watch a whole bunch of was it's Sintel, I think is the name of it. It's a YouTube channel that does reactions to movies, and one of the movies they reacted to was the Other Guys, and it's a great reaction video because you can tell they're really enjoying it and they're really having fun watching it. It's a very funny movie, so it's infectious, right? Seeing people laughing, seeing people having a good time, that is incredibly infectious and incredibly fun. So the scene where they jump off the roof, aim for the bushes, always, of course, is absolutely hilarious. I have watched Step Brothers. See, I'm not a big, as most people know, I'm not a huge comedy fan. For me, Austin, what I love is first and foremost scary movies and horror movies. That's my favorite. But I will watch a comedy. And Step Brothers was pretty good. This house is a prison. That always makes me laugh. Wow, I'm hit. I mean, oh, what's her name? I can't think of her name now. Lily Lebowski from Crossing Jordan, which is one of my favorite television shows. She was the witch in the Marvel movies. Oh, it's driving me crazy. She was in the movie, the TV show with the Scarlet Witch. She was the bad guy. Somebody help me out with this here. Now it's driving me crazy. Whatever her name was, I thought she was hilarious. She's married to the Adam Scott character. I'm going to look this up because now it's driving me crazy. I love the house in Paranormal. I've never seen Paranormal Activity. I know I love Catherine Hahn. There we go. I know I shouldn't say that because I love scary movies, but that's one I've missed. Reality is not happening to you; it's responding to you. Mr. Yates, I agree. I mean, the universe, it's not like it's the universe and us, right? We all exist together as part of the universe. Some philosophers say that we are the universe experiencing itself, which is true in many ways, right? There's a lot of truth to that. We are made up of star matter. We're made up of items in the universe. We are the universe experiencing itself. The extent to whether or not it responds to us or not, I don't really know what that means precisely. Um, can't take that movie seriously, Paranormal Activity. If you see the spoof, that does affect it a lot. I don't mind spoofs. Like, I enjoy them. But, I will always go for the OG first. One of the dangers, one of the problems you sometimes get is, I think very often movies nowadays, what they will try to do is they will try to take the spoof, like they'll try to pre-spoof themselves. Like Scream was famous for that, right? Scream tried to kind of take the piss a little bit. So did like Friday the 13th Part 6, which was the first, I think, meta horror movie. Or maybe, what's it called? Maybe uh, April Fools as well. My favorite TV show, DH. Um, well, yes, that's true. I know the double slit experiment, and yeah, the observation and measurement affects the outcome of an experiment, which is really cool. I used to know more about this stuff because I love physics. Um, my favorite TV show, DH. Oh my gosh, of all time, it's probably Charmed. Although Crossing Jordan, Angel, Lost, Are You Afraid of the Dark, The Bear. I posted this on X actually while it was when you asked me my favorite shows. Those are all up there. The Newsroom, Community. Oh, so you're a sitcom guy. I've never been one for sitcoms myself. But that's cool. Yes, as Yo Maple says, Freemasonry is not the Illuminati. I did not like The Sopranos. I never really watched it. I never got into a lot of HBO shows. Maybe the one exception might be Westworld or The Newsroom. I actually like The Newsroom. I dream I genie, I'm told. I will say, in my opinion, though, I don't care whether it's like genuinely, I don't care whether we're referring to, um, I don't care whether you're referring to, let's say, uh, a biker gang, the mafia, whatever it is. I've always believed that as the mafia, as illegal groups, as gangs, whatever it is, become more popular to the extent that they are popular, it's an indictment on Freemasonry. Like, I truly believe that. I think one of the biggest mistakes and dangers that we make, people join groups. I don't care whether it's Freemasonry or anything else. People join these groups because they are looking first and foremost for brotherhood, fellowship, for that human desire to be part of something bigger than yourself and greater than oneself. I just think that's human nature, right? And if Freemasonry is not relevant in people's lives, if Freemasonry is not part of people's lives, one of the things that happens, in my opinion, is they suddenly feel less, they're not going to end up joining. They're going to end up finding that desire somewhere else or fulfilling that desire somewhere else. And unfortunately, what that means is they look to gangs, they look to the mafia, they look to whatever it is. I think we within Freemasonry, our focus needs to be on being relevant in our communities, relevant to people around us. Therefore, when they're looking to be part of something greater than themselves, they look to Freemasonry instead of looking towards, say, the mafia, a gang, or even the manosphere and all the terribleness of that. Um, Zeppelin was great. I agree with that. So I don't really think, whoa, DH, Prince is not overrated. Prince is incredible. I would argue Prince is one of the greatest of all time. I mean, Purple Rain, you're not going to beat that. Um, the Beatles and Prince are not overrated. This is ridiculous. That is a very controversial take. Um, I mean, Hitara, you can look to both, but it very much depends on your circumstances and what you want. I think religion is one space, and Freemasonry is a different. Freemasonry is a civic space. Religion is a religious space, right? Christianity is a different type of space as well. So I don't think one is more important than the other or one can substitute for the other. I think both are equally important, right? But I think if you feel lonely and isolated, going to church can be an excellent thing to do. Absolutely. And you can get a lot of value from it. But I don't think it can be exclusive. Because I think you also need civic engagement. You need both. I mean, Mr. Tyler's not completely wrong about that. Um, I know many Catholic and Orthodox Freemasons, though, Hatari. Um, it does, Yo Maple. I was just at a Catholic church last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and we assisted in creating packages of groceries and other toiletries to give to those who are low income or homeless. Music is not satanic. Music is proof, in my opinion, that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Yes, I think Freemasonry is equally important to, I think civic, not Freemasonry per se, I think civic engagement is equally important to religious engagement. Meaning, I think the Elks, the Moose, the Freemasons, the Knights of Columbus, um, are all equally important to your religious experience. At least from a societal perspective. In terms of your soul and your religious, whatever it is, and what happens in eternity, that's kind of a different question. But um, uh, if you want a society to function well and be successful, you need, I think, at least equally as much as kind of a religious backing, if you think you need one, you definitely need a strong civic foundation to operate. Societies which are exclusively based on religion without civic foundations, in my experience, don't do well. Um, yeah, but I think the church is ultimately, it has a different purpose, right? Not just the church per se, just religion in general. Could be the church, the mosque. They all do civic work and community work, and that's awesome. One of my favorite quotes is actually, I found out, is apparently from the Prophet Muhammad. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not Muslim. But apparently he said, love of country is part of faith, which I really like that as a quote and as an idea. I'm sure Christianity and Judaism have similar ideas. Um, but ultimately, their main goal is not civic. Their main goal is actually seems more focused on the next life and your eternal soul. I think you need organizations that are exclusively concerned with civic life as well. I think without it and without that, um, society becomes theocracy, which I think is not healthy. Really, I did not know that, Lucius. I did not hear Bowie was a Freemason. That's cool, though. Well, DH, in a Masonic lodge, it's true, you're not allowed to discuss religion. That's a very good point. But we are not in a Masonic lodge. I use public transportation, Google, right? One of the things that I love most about, one of the things I love most about, or not that I love most, but that I try to do on this channel, at least somewhat regularly, is I try my best to talk about and focus on and thank public transit, especially the transit workers. Um, right? Because one of the biggest dangers I think we have, like, if you are in a small town or even a big city and you don't have your own car, you don't have your own transportation, you may be reliant on public transit to get you to your lodge meeting. You may be reliant on public transit to get you to different lodge meetings. A few years ago, I did a thing where I visited 3 Masonic lodges in Chicago, all on the same day. Um, all 3 of them were in different locations, and all by public transit, either taking the Metro or the CTA. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool and really fun, and a different thing to try. Um, sure, it's happened. Sometimes I've been the nutcase. Um, we are going to keep hanging out. We're going to wait to see who joins. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Tuco, I'll take it. If you think I look like Tuco, he's a handsome fella. And even if he wasn't, I would say he's handsome because he's very terrifying. Feet, please hit like and subscribe. And thank you all for joining. Don't forget to mark on your calendars the 21st of August. We are going to be doing a 24-hour stream celebrating and talking about the beautiful, the incredible, the awesome Masonic Medical Research Institute. And let's give it a bit more time. Jump in the chat, say hello. I'm happy to say we're at over 4,550 subs, so we're getting closer and closer to 5,000 mark. Let's see if we can get there soon. Death must be better than this. I don't know. We're taking a big risk if that's what you think. We're all going to find out sooner or later what's on the other side. But I'm very happy to be here for the time being. Just waiting to see who wants to jump in the chat, say hello. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. Mark the calendars for the 21st. Thank you to everybody who voted in my poll. I will be going to Chicago. And as part of that, we're going to be celebrating Masonic Membership Visibility Day, which is going to be really fun. I cannot wait for that. Celebrating Masonic membership and kindness. Tonight, actually, the Magic Circle is having a meeting at the Windsor Masonic Temple. So I got to go there and let them in. I haven't been to the Masonic Temple in a while. I'm usually there like every day, but it's been a few months, or not a few, it's probably been a month since I've been there, to be honest. I'll be back again. This thing is driving me crazy. Ugh, soon I'm gonna get that fixed. What is happening at McCormick Place in Chicago, B. Baker? I mean, I didn't plan to go there, but what's happening there? I've been to McCormick Place before, I think. I've been to Chicago a bunch of times. Oh no, I mean, I'm going to go and visit some Masons in the Jefferson Park Masonic Temple. It's at Gale. There's a McDonald's close by, right next to it actually, where I might get in. I don't know when I'm going to be there yet for sure, to be honest, so I might not be there. I haven't decided when I'll be leaving. I also plan hopefully tomorrow to check out the Gordie Howe Bridge finally. I've lived in Windsor for 20 years. I've never been able to walk into the States or wheel into the States. This will be my first time. I think that would be incredible. So I think that could be a lot of fun as well. It does. I mean, I have to have a chair that fits into place as well because because I'm traveling all the time, I need to make sure my chair fits into buses and planes and trains and wherever, cars. wherever I need to get it into, I need to get it into. So, um, yeah, that's one of the fun things. They get used to it, you know? Her name, by the way, is Gwendolyn. The chair's name is Gwendolyn. But yeah, no, it's something travel is, I've said a million times, my favorite place is not here. My favorite place is anywhere that's not here. That's something I love. So I love to travel. I love to see different places. It's something I'm grateful for. So yeah, so it's something I love to do. Oh yeah, renting Airbnb. I mean, and I'm very lucky. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm incredibly lucky because um, I'm able to get off my chair, walk around. I'm very mobile off of the chair. And as a consequence of that, I'm able, like if there's an Airbnb that has a lot of stairs, I will usually still go to it, leave my chair at the bottom of the stairs and crawl to my room or whatever it is. That is something I did all the time and still do. But yeah, you have to think about it. And I've talked about accessibility as it relates to Freemasonry, making sure our buildings are fully accessible and that people can get into our buildings and use our buildings. Like that stuff matters a lot and is great, something I'm grateful for. Um, and there's always more buildings can do, but accessibility should always be on top of mind when it comes to Freemasonry. No, she's B. Baker. This is a fancy lady. All right. And because this is a fancy lady, she would never accept being called Gwen for short. She is Gwendolyn. I do not shop at Meijer. I don't even think there is a Meijer around here. No, no, I always was able to do that from when I was really young because I was born missing my legs. So I adapted and started crawling, as soon as I could. Um, I don't smoke cigarettes, Irish, despite the fact that sometimes you people make me want to. I've never smoked cigarettes. Actually, that's a lie. I have smoked cigarettes. It's been like almost 10 years since my last one. And even when I did, it was one or two. I've never smoked any other substances or had a drink. Um, what store do I use? I mean, it depends. Honestly, I normally just shop at the gas station and grab a few odds and ends here and there. I also do a lot of shopping at the dollar store because I'm on a tight budget because all my money goes to this channel and the travel that is associated with it. So I do a lot of my shopping at the dollar store, to be honest. Like I just got these, which were awesome, for $1, and they're really good for you. So I've got a few of them. And I live right next to Michigan. I showed a bunch of clips from Michigan yesterday, or my view of Michigan, and how lucky I am to be there. So yeah, that was really cool and really fun. But yeah, I love Michigan. I love the States. I've said it a million times. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. Oh, Dollar. Yeah, I use a Dollar Tree as well. It's great. And then Shoppers Drug Mart. I do a lot of shopping at Shoppers Drug Mart because I get the points, which is always nice to have. Um, I think wherever you eat, it's possible to be healthy. You just have to pay attention and also cost effective. There's this streamer on Facebook, I think, and YouTube that I really like, and he talks a lot about how he does this thing where he goes to like the dollar store basically, and he creates a meal for $5 in the States, um, and he does some pretty good stuff. He talks about ways to like get the most flavor out of a relatively minimal number of food. It's really good. I'm happy to be Canadian. There is not, B. Baker, to my knowledge, based on what I've seen, there is not a Masonic lodge in Greenland. It was a can of sardines and tomato sauce, which I got for $1. I got a bunch of them because it's super cheap. I think it's good for you. I don't know for sure. Talk to a doctor, but it seems to be a lot of iron, a lot of calcium, um, all of which is incredibly important, especially because, again, I'm trying to be healthy, but also on a budget. Um, no, in a nutshell, Canada is Canada, America is America. I mean, so anything involving seafood, I will always like and always support. I love, like, my favorite food is fresh raw oysters. I think they're so good. But I also really like oysters from a. I also really love um, oysters in a tin or oysters in a can. I'm pretty sure that's not true in a nutshell. I don't know what the exact numbers are. Pretty sure that's not true. I got a big gap in my teeth. What can I say? B. Baker? Okay. I will check them out. Like I said, fish, canned fish, tuna, whatever it is, canned oysters, canned mussels, all that stuff is really, really, really good. I'm pretty sure Canada pays for some of our defenses. You can quibble about the amounts, but our defense budget is not minimal. Um, but I'd also keep in mind America probably has a lot more enemies than Canada, and the fact we happen to be next to you guys puts us at perhaps a risk we did not ask for. Might be worth keeping in mind as well. Not a lot of people are out there talking about how much they don't like Canada. I think right now the rule is 2%, right? If I recall correctly, the agreement within NATO was 2% spending of GDP, which I think we're at, to be honest. I think Canada is at 2%. Welcome back, Yo Maple. Everyone does love Canada, as they should. And by the way, I love America. I've said it a million times. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. And I still think that is the case. Calgary's awesome. Okay, I've not heard that. 5% seems a bit high to me. Windsor, Ronnie. Windsor, Ontario. Why? Because it's my home. And so, of course, I'm going to pick Windsor. Also, I think Windsor, and I do believe this genuinely is the case, Windsor has the best Masonic building anywhere in the world. Um, so I would say Windsor first. Then, if I had to pick another spot, I would say, I love Ottawa and I love Winnipeg. They are both incredible cities as well. It could be. I didn't hear that. That sounds really high to me. Um, Let me double check. NATO spending 5%. This is me personally speaking. As the June 2025 NATO summit in The Hague, member nations committed to a new target of investing 5%. Okay. Oh, annually by 2035. So they got, I guess, 10 years. Core defense 3.5, security up 1.5. I don't know. That seems a bit high to me personally, but they agreed to it. So I guess we have till 2035 to do it. Oh, I love Ottawa. Ottawa is an absolutely one-of-a-kind city. It's where I moved immediately after leaving Winnipeg. And I can assure you it is insanely beautiful. So if you get the chance, believe me, go to Ottawa. It's got some of the most beautiful parks in the world, some of the most friendly people. Obviously, the nation's capital. Good Freemasonry there as well. There's a couple of lodge buildings there, both of which are incredible, and both of which are beautiful. There's the main center, and then there's one in Westboro. Well, I wish him best of luck. Usually, once you make a deal, you kind of have to follow through with the deal and not start adding changes to it. But hey, what do we know, right? We're just gonna keep hanging out. I've been to Saskatchewan. I've been to Saskatoon. It's been a while. I have, I shouldn't say this because I'm from Manitoba, born and raised in Winnipeg. So by law, I hate Saskatchewan, by definition. But nonetheless, what I found is I like Saskatoon, and I'd love to be back there and visit it once again. Yes, we made it to 50 likes. I've been to Alberta as well. Alberta has really cool Freemasonry and really cool Masonic history. And I've talked to some Alberta Masons here about that. Um, that is, and I mean, that's a big mark in its favor because Roddy Piper, Hot Rod Roddy Piper, one of the greatest Freemasons, sorry, one of the greatest Freemasons, not a Freemason, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So, of course, you know, we want to be supporting him. I always thought he was Scottish growing up, but no, he's from Saskatchewan. He's Canadian. Which I should have known, right? Because all the best people come from Canada. I've been to London a bunch. I used to work in London. Awesome Freemasonry in London, Ontario. There's a couple different lodge buildings, locations, but the main one's on Dufferin Street, which is really, really cool and beautiful. I worked there as well. But no, I mean, London, Ontario, it's 2 hours away from me, right? And a lot of people, a lot of us, we absolutely spend a lot of time. If you're from Windsor, it's very common to have friends in London to go up there for weekends. It's a cool city. I like it. It's struggling a bit right now in certain things. It's struggling with downtown a little bit. Last time I was there, but my potential kidney donation surgery will take place at the London Health Sciences Center. So I'm getting used to London. Or do you mean London, England? Because I've been there as well. Beautiful, but just packed. That's the one thing I remember from it. Like, it was so insanely packed. Like with people. And I prefer small towns as a general rule of thumb to giant metro. I forgot just how many people are in London. Like, it was crazy. I've never taken the new one yet, B. Baker, but I want to take it soon. In fact, I may try to take it tomorrow. I'll let you guys know. Because I've lived here 20 years. I've never walked into the United States or wheeled into the United States. I've always had to take a bus or a car or whatever it might be. So I'm really excited for this, or fly in. It'll be my first time ever walking into the United States of America from anywhere. Um, in London, Ontario. Hello, Dennis. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I don't know if he's that much of a menace. Believe me, I've had plenty of people who are menaces on this stream before. I wouldn't say he's one of them. Um, sure. I mean, I would say personally the best wrestler of all time is John Cena. Bret Hart is up there. Andre the Giant, Stone Cold, Roman Reigns. But there's a good argument to be made for Roddy Piper for sure. Um, It's a 70% of Canadians live, if I recall correctly, below Toronto and down, I think. Um, nice, Raj. How'd you get those pictures? Because that's really cool. Oh, Raj, with the jokes. With the jokes. You got me with that one. You know, you can't see me. No, I love actually this tattoo. It says the next one, and I got it from John Cena because when people would ask John Cena what his favorite wrestling match was, he would always say the next one. So nowadays, when people ask me, or even when I first heard that, when people ask me what my favorite Masonic memory is, I always say the next one or answer with the next one. Um, that's been a long time. When I first moved to Windsor in 2006, you could do that. You could cross the border with just a driver's license or a birth certificate, but no longer the case. Not for a long time. But I always suggest if you're a Freemason, my opinion, you should get yourself a passport. They're not that expensive, they're not that hard to get, and it means you have the ability to travel to Masonic lodges around the world. So, like, why not take advantage of that, you know? Um, that's a good answer, and that's John Cena's answer. So, and I always say to any Mason out there, what you should do is if you get the chance, you should, and people ask what your favorite Masonic moment is, Masonic memory, the next one, um, right? The next one. I'm going to give it a bit more time. I'm enjoying hanging out here, talking to people. I do have to make it to back to the Masonic Temple at some point in order to, let some magicians into the building. Hopefully, they don't leave their rabbits there, and we have, make too many rabbits appear from a hat or whatever it might be. But for the time being, I'm going to give it another maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Let's see who joins. You say that, but I don't see any super chat. I'm not having a magic show. We have at our Masonic building magicians that um, meet there. There's like a magic club. They meet, they talk about different tricks, they practice, I think. And our Masonic building allows them to meet there completely free of charge. It's a nice thing that we do for the community. And I think it's a really cool thing. Yeah, it is. But I got to go let them in the building today. So, um, and I was just thinking, it's been a long time since I've been there. Like, it's crazy. It's been almost 20 years. 20 years, geez, what I say. Um, it's been almost 2 months. I've been a Mason for 20 years. I think it's been almost 2 months since I was last inside the Windsor Masonic Temple. And as someone who's usually there like every day, that's crazy. Hello, Brick Flair. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Brick, I hope you marked on your calendar August 21st, starting 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing a 24-hour stream celebrating the Masonic Medical Research Institute. So it's going to be a blast. I can't wait. Yeah, Mr. Dane, but boring doesn't always mean not important. Plus, boring people get bored, in my humble opinion. GTA does stand for Greater Toronto Area. I've spent a lot of time in the GTA. It's, in some ways, it's like a second home to me. The amount of time I'm either at the airport or flying through or whatever it might be. Whole what, good sir, and thank you for being here. Hello, Audible Veracity. How's it going? Thank you for being here also. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Okay, no, I like the GTA. Again, I've spent so much time in the GTA. In a lot of ways, the GTA is kind of like a way station for me. Like, I'm never really staying there. I'm always in the GTA going from, let's say, Windsor to Ottawa, and there's a stopover, or I go to Toronto and then go to Pearson Airport and fly in or out. It's rare that I spend time like in Toronto proper, but every now and then I'll have something in Toronto I got to do, or the GTA. It could be wrestling, could be Masonic. And I do always enjoy those moments and miss them. Like, there's something really special about Toronto. I'm growing to like it more and more. Um, it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. Well, no, I mean, keep hearing about Grand Theft Auto. I don't know anything about it because I don't play Grand Theft Auto, but I know it's a video game. That's the best I can do. Yeah, if you hear a Canadian say GTA, it's 50-50. 50% chance they're talking about 50% chance they're talking about Toronto. 50% chance they're talking about the video game. So do you play GTA Audible? And if so, what's your favorite? LA crime rate. I've been to LA, Mr. Day. Now it's been a while. Don't get me wrong. It's been a while since I've been on in Los Angeles. But when I was there, I really liked it. Um, and it was at a time when people were complaining about tent cities and all the rest of it. And yeah, there was some of that. I passed a couple tent cities, but I still enjoyed it. And I thought most of the people were very friendly and really cool Masonic history. A lot of people don't realize, but the Jimmy Kimmel show is actually filmed in a Masonic temple, which is kind of a cool little point. I have no idea, probably because they don't like the fact there's Indian people living there, but I've been to Brampton, it's fine. Um, Yo Maple with the old. I mean, gun control, that's a political question. Some people support gun control, some people don't. I will say I've always been personally more on this side of gun regulation, and less guns equals better. Having said that, the most important thing from a Masonic perspective is you follow the laws and the rules of the place in which you live, right? So, for example, if you are visiting a state and the rule is you're not allowed to bring a weapon within the Masonic building, then that's the rule, right? That's what matters. It's up to ultimately the lodge and the state and the location. San Andreas had the best. What does it mean? It depends, DGAF. I guess you take the risk. What are the best cheats? I'm not sure what that means. Well, that's not going to get you banned because I don't know what that means. Um, I've never played GTA 4. Oh, I've heard that before. I don't buy it, DGAF. I think that's silly, but I mean, yeah, that's an argument many people make. I just find baloney. Um, yes, I have a very symmetrical head. Hello, Libra. Thank you for being here. Well, I think they would do that so they could better play the game, right? Which does make sense to me. Like, if you are a game developer and you need to, um, run through your game really, really quickly in order to test it and see if there's any bugs, it makes sense to give yourself like infinite ammo or infinite whatever in order to run through it as quickly as possible because you're looking for bugs, right? Which does make a lot of sense to me. Um, well, my response to that, DGAF, is I would want to live in a society and create a society where there's no need for a knife, gun, or fight. And I do think society has a role to play in this. And society can absolutely and without question create a society in which, or create a system and create a situation and create an environment in which violence is reduced. Relying on each individual to, take it in their own hands is not how it works. That just leads to chaos. Um, some didn't really help. Some are for chaos. I mean, I'm sure some are just for chaos as well, but it doesn't shock me. Well, I think very often it's kind of my problem with a lot of political philosophies in general, right? If you decide the most important thing is my protection, um, right? Like I'd rather the energy and the money that is spent on guns, I'd rather it be spent on time and effort in creating a more safe society for everybody as opposed to just like Fortress DGAF. Um, I remember my Nintendo, and I remember my PS1. One thing I'll say is my favorite video game, to bring it back to Freemasonry, is Assassin's Creed Part 3, because that has a lot of Masonic symbolism. Well, I hope my voice doesn't make you feel safe, because that's weird. But I mean, I guess whatever works. I would hope that my voice makes you want to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and maybe support Freemasonry. We're going to give it another probably 5 minutes. I'll be ending this stream. I will be back on, however, tonight at 1 a.m. And then this weekend, we got some exciting things happening. It's probably going to be a weekend of very little sleep, is my suspicion. But we shall see. Very little sleep, but a lot of work. Well, thank you. Then I'll take it, DGAF. Oh, I remember back in the day of your friend just got like a new video game. You all go to his place. You get the 4 controllers out, or even the 2 controllers out. Order a pizza. Get yourself some soda. That stuff was always fun. Let's not be loving death or loving Dean the God Machine. I guess you can love Dean the God Machine. That's okay. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Oh, those were great. Take me back to the good old days of the 90s. Well, I mean, bleep, that's one of those interesting ideas. I've seen people talk about this, the idea of everything being online, right? It's the difference between experience and, experience and convenience, right? Going to the video store and renting a video game and then getting together with your friends all in person and ordering a pizza and getting snacks, that was ultimately that was an experience, and it was very important to be an experience. Um, however, we replaced that with the convenience of things being online. I can order my movies online, my games online. I don't need to see anybody in person. It's a much more convenient thing, but is it better? And that's the question, right? I think the danger is we're so focused on experience, or sorry, we're so focused on convenience, we've forgotten to focus on experience. And that's very dangerous for Freemasonry because Freemasonry is all about experiences and not just convenience. It's not always convenient to go to Masonic Lodge after a long day of work, right? Especially when gas is over $4 a gallon on average. But it is an experience and there is more value to it. So yeah, I stay online. Sometimes I stay online longer, Stephanie. It just depends on certain circumstances. I'm going to keep calling you DG for the time being because it's easier to remember. But thank you, Lila. I hope you're doing well and thank you for being here. As always, grateful to have you join. What is MW2? Oh yeah, and it's a shame they can't. I mean, I did feel a sense of sadness when we lost my local family video, without question. You know, I thought it was a really cool place to go. You saw people, you had an experience. There's something like tactile about it, like being in a place and picking up a DVD case and all the rest of it. Um, you just kind of, for better or worse, we've kind of lost that. Um, no, but I remember people camping out at Blockbuster. I remember going to Blockbuster and playing video games because they had those displays set up, right, where you could play the video games or whatever it is, which was really fun to do also. I do not know what a flavor of marble is. Um, well, yeah, you had to pick, right, which made you appreciate them even more. And, be kind, rewind, return them. I know a few people like now collect old Blockbuster cards, which is really cool, by the way. Um, I remember one of my fondest memories of when I first moved to Ottawa from Winnipeg. So I lived in Ottawa and I was renting this room and I had this tiny black and white television. It was like a television you would take with you when you were camping, and it had like a antenna that you could lift up and maybe get reception, and you would bring a whole bunch of batteries in it. It was black and white. It was literally like this big, the screen, and it had a knob on the side. But anyways, it had the three ports on the back, right? The audio visual ports that you could plug a video game system into. So I wheeled down to a store that rented both video games and video game systems. And I rented Resident Evil 4, put it into my, rented the video game system as well, which would be the PS3 or PS4, I think. Plugged the video game system into my little tiny camping television set, and played Resident Evil 4 on a black and white television the entire night. And then at 8 in the morning, I went to work, didn't sleep. I could do that back in the day. And yeah, I don't know why I have such a fond memory of that, but I do. Actually, maybe it was an Xbox I rented. Whatever it is, I rented a video game system, rented Resident Evil 4, hooked it up to my little camping TV, and played Resident Evil 4 all night. That's a very fond memory I have. Hello, Tactical. That's old news, but sure. I wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk myself, but obviously don't want to see a father, don't want to see a wife lose a husband or a kid lose their father. That's for sure. I don't recall ever playing the Doom game. Hey, Zig is back. It's been a while. Welcome, Zig. Good to see you. All right, guys, we're gonna end this stream because it's after 5, or it's just at 5, and I've got to get myself to the Masonic Temple. Also, to get myself some dinner. I will be talking to all of you guys soon again tonight at 1 a.m. Hope you guys do well. This was a fun stream. Not a ton of talking about Freemasonry, but we got some Masonic points in there. So that is something I enjoyed discussing. All right. See you guys soon. I don't know if I'm that normal, but depends who you ask.